name is Grant Smith Ellis, joining you just after 4:45 p.m. Eastern here in Boston, during what could be our last moments of serenity. I'm not really sure. There have been threats that have gone out via text message to hundreds of thousands of Israelis, telling them to prepare for impending bombardment. And in honor of our dear friend Yoram, who has on so many occasions gone to bat in defense of the Palestinians, despite Yoram living in Israel. God bless Yoram. May God protect him this night. And in honor of Yoram, I thought we would play one of his newest, which is I Can't Be Here Anymore, Save Me, which perhaps speaks volumes for so many of us these days. Hello, Reaper. It's great to see you, and Tiffany Bob, and Soul Controller. Oh, and Nightbot. How you doing, Nightbot? And Water Under the Fridge. Yes, definitely chat some hearts in the chat for our dear friend Yoram. Yoram composed that song that we listened to during the intro. Now, I have a lot to get you caught up on. There are intense bombing raids occurring in the south of Lebanon, but even more, perhaps concerningly, there has been no response from Hezbollah. An eerie silence, almost like the axis of resistance is planning for something intense. There's this ominous feeling. There really is. The amount of bombings that have been occurring in South Lebanon have been exponential in nature over the past 20 minutes. Before we begin, though, I have the latest for you from Al Mayadeen in the last hour. This is what downtown Tehran looks like tonight with English captions. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. It is 4:49 p.m. in Boston. It is 10:49 in South Africa. It's 11:49 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, all Monday, April 27, 2026. And it is 12:20 a.m. in Tehran, Iran. What will the night bring? We'll find out together. Here's the latest from downtown Tehran with English captions.
يعني ربما أصبح بإمكاننا القول بأن الحضور المستمر للشعب الإيراني في الساحات هو اليوم اللافت. ما زال الشعب الإيراني هو المتصدر لكل ما يجري اليوم في إيران. يعني هذا الزخم الشعبي، هذا النبض، هذه الصيحات، هذا تجديد البيعة في كل ليلة للقيادة للثورة لهذا النهج المستمر، كله اليوم هنا حاضر في الساحة. سأترك الكاميرا لترى وليرى العالم هذا النبض الشعبي، هذا الوفاء للثورة الإسلامية، لأن إيران اليوم هي إيران نفسها كما كانت عام 79 بروح الثورة المتجددة بهذا الشعب، بهذه الروح، بهذه المعنويات الوطنية التي تتجلى هنا في ساحة الثورة بأبهى صورها. يمكن أن نسمع ونشاهد عبد الرحمن.
This is Tehran tonight.
فقط أود أن أشير عبد الرحمن لكي يعني أشرح قليلا عن هذه الأنشودة. هذه الأنشودة موجهة للقوات المسلحة بأن الميادين لكم والساحات للشعب. إذا عبد الرحمن، نحن أمام هذه المشهدية من الثورة المتجددة التي تنطلق في كل ليلة من نداء الشعب.
نعم.
هذا الشعب في إيران، في هذا البلد الديمقراطي الذي اليوم يعتبر المواطن الإيراني والإنسان هو المحور. هذا الشعب الذي اليوم الواعي ويدرك لأهمية وجوده في الساحات كجبهة دفاعية، كخط دفاع أول. يمكن أن نسمع أيضا
إذا بيسان سنبقى بالصورة والصوت من عندك ونشكرك جزيلا.
That's the latest from downtown Tehran. I translated those captions, if you would. Allow me to just post that now. Give me 1 second. Thank you very much for your cooperation. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. I'm monitoring for you as various developments unfold in the world of, well, everywhere. I'll show you what's been going on in Lebanon. I'll show you what's been going on in Tehran. I'll show you what's been going on at the White House, where King Charles and the Queen arrived, or the Princess, I'm not really sure. You can see Mr. President Trump's hand quite swollen in these latest images, just an hour ago from the White House. Hashtag Adnan Khashoggi stole my paintings. Give me back my paintings. Anyway, I have been well rested. It's good to see you all. I took Sunday off. I was not feeling so well. Feeling a lot better today. There's a lot of pollen in the air. The trees are in bloom here in Massachusetts, that's for sure. Yes, quite awkward scenes with the president and King Charles. The first visit of a sitting king since 1937 to the United States. Very awkward scenes this morning. Excuse me, just an hour ago. Taking you now to Nabayath al-Faqwa in southern Lebanon, where a building has just completely collapsed after a savage round of Israeli airstrikes in the past 30 minutes across 20 different towns. This is the latest I have for you from Nabayath. Let me see if I can get the full screen up. Nope, you don't need the map on full screen. This is the latest from Nabayath, southern Lebanon, just now. The latest from Nabayath in southern Lebanon. You're looking now at a building which has completely collapsed in the past 20 minutes in Nabayath in southern Lebanon. I'll show you the rapid reports of those bombings. There were drone flights as well over Beirut, Al-Jana, Ras Beirut, Abu Hader Tower, Shahaya, Uzai, and Ganabli. Taking you now to Revolution Square in Tehran. That's Tehran tonight. Now, if you're wondering why I'm a little on edge, it doesn't make sense that Israel would have struck that hard that many times in southern Lebanon and Hezbollah would not have responded. Hezbollah doesn't do that. That's just not how Hezbollah does things. So just take a look at some of the damage in southern Lebanon in the past 20 minutes. No responses from Hezbollah at all whatsoever. And there were massive bombing raids across at least 7 cities. It is very unusual. If you're just tuning in, this will be a night of rolling coverage because I am on edge. It is very unusual for there to be so many strikes across southern Lebanon and Hezbollah not respond. However, there were also threats sent to hundreds of thousands of Israelis. I'm reporting this to you from Israeli media. Okay, so I'm not reporting it directly. I'm reporting from Israeli media, and you'll see that it was multiple sources that reported it, including Sot Beirut International. Hundreds of thousands of Israelis received a threatening message from Iran that said only prepare for missile bombardment. Now, I then went to the account for the spokesman of the IRCG, And he put out a tweet that said only prepare for missile bombardment. Prepare for a missile attack. And this is the spokesman for the IRCG, Ibrahim al-Fikar. Okay, that's him. So why would he say that? And he said it in Hebrew too. Dude, it's too coordinated. There's something that just doesn't make sense. It's too coordinated. There's something coming. I can feel it in my towel bone. So we are going to do monitoring tonight. The best case scenario is I get you caught up on the developments from the day and nothing happens. The worst case scenario is that this is a true threat and they're going to bomb Israel. I don't really understand why. But the reason why... Okay, so there's a pattern to this madness during the ceasefire. And it's been that... And I can show you some of it. But it's normally like Israel bombs southern Lebanon. Right now there's a ceasefire except for southern Lebanon. Beirut, Israel has not been bombing. So during the ceasefire, Israel mostly bombs southern Lebanon. Hezbollah then will bomb back with drones and missiles in the north. Okay, it's like a tit for tat. Over the past 12 hours, Israel has bombed over and over and over and over again with no response from Hezbollah. At the same time, Iran has been telegraphing that if the axis of resistance go hot, it's going to be in a coordinated attack. Well, now everybody's just quiet, just silent. Israel's bombing, Hezbollah's not returning with tet-a-tet attacks. That makes me think there's something happening. I don't know why. I don't have any confirmation. My towel bones. There's just... And then the threat sent to all the Israeli cell phones. And then this posted in Hebrew by Ibrahim al-Fikar saying prepare for a missile attack, which is the exact same thing that the text said to the Israeli population. I'm on alert. Hashtag towel alert. Does that mean anything's going to happen? I don't know. I'm concerned. I don't like the feeling. I have said for 11 days, I don't like this. It feels very off. It feels odd. It feels fake. This isn't what a ceasefire looks like. And I don't know what to make of all this. All I know is that I'm on alert, and so you are as well. My name is Grant Smith Ellis, and that's why I am on alert. It's not just that. It's that Israeli media was reporting, and it's not just me reporting this. It was that Israeli media, and then multiple people repeated it, started saying that hundreds of thousands of Israelis received a threatening text saying, prepare for missile bombardment. Now, unless the Home Front Command, if the Home Front Command of the IDF sends a message to the Israeli people, like all of them, saying stay near your missile shelters or your safe places, that's the sign that things are about to happen. That is a little odd, but it's not a go sign. A go sign is, what I mean by that is be near your safe place. When the Home Front Command sends a mass message to all Israelis, if that happens, we go to DEFCON 5, towel level DEFCON 5. But that has not happened. I'm on level 3, maybe 3.5. We're edging towards 4. But until that text goes out telling the Israeli people to stay near their safe places, we're not at DEFCON 5. But we're very close. We're very, very close. Taking you to Yemen now, where the Houthi militia assaulted an Al Jazeera journalist live on air earlier today.
أي هجوم سيكون على اليمن في المقابل نحن الآن على ساحل البحر الأحمر وكما نشاهد الآن يحاول بالنسبة لمضيق باب المندب.
What are you doing, Houthis?
حسب المصادر فإن هناك نحو 7 إلى 10 سفن.
نبيل، ربما نتركك قليلا لتتمكن من الظهور معنا لاستكمال هذه الرسالة. نذهب إلى محمد المدهون لاستطلاع الموقف من جبل طارق هذه المرة. محمد،
وللتصدي لأي هجوم سيكون على اليمن في المقابل نحن الآن على ساحل البحر الأحمر وكما نشاهد الآن يحاول بالنسبة لمضيق باب المندب فبحسب المصادر فإن هناك نحو 7 إلى 10 سفن.
نبيل، ربما نتركك قليلا.
Alright, so that was the Houthis assaulting an Al Jazeera journalist live on air. I don't understand why they're doing that. We're now, hold on, I'm now going to take us to the UN Security Council. Hold please. I'm going to take us to the UN Security Council where all of the members are speaking live. 1 second. I'm going to take us back a few minutes so that you can see each of the honorable members, and then we'll jump to, of course, the members that are the most relevant to the debate. So let's check. Let's see who's speaking. Here's, we'll check Qatar. This is the UN right now.
It is
that was Spain.
Such as the International Maritime
I'm going to jump forward to Qatar.
For humanitarian purposes through the Strait of Hormuz.
Secretary General
so here's Qatar.
And the Secretary General of the IMO and the Senior Fellow of the International Institute for Strategic Studies for their briefings. Mr. President, our meeting today is held against the significant circumstances. The threats have increased, threatening waterways and threatening freedom of navigation, affecting international peace and security and the international economy, in particular in the Strait of Hormuz. In this regard, the State of Qatar affirms that freedom of navigation is a fundamental principle of international law as per the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS. Qatar also emphasizes Security Council Resolution 552 of 1984, which has underscored the importance of the Gulf region to international peace and security and its vital role in stabilizing the global economy. The resolution also called upon states to respect international law, the freedom of navigation in international waters and maritime routes for vessels navigating to and from ports and installations of coastal states that are not part to hostilities, and called upon states to respect territorial integrity of states that are not party to hostilities. Accordingly, the State of Qatar stresses the importance of implementing Resolution 2817, which was submitted by the Kingdom of Bahrain on behalf of the GCC states and Jordan. The resolution condemned the attacks launched by Iran on the territory of Qatar and the Gulf Cooperation Council states and Jordan. These attacks were a violation of international law and a threat to international peace and security. The resolution also affirmed its support for territorial integrity, sovereignty, and independence of GCC states and Jordan, and condemned the acts or threats by Iran aimed at closing the Strait of Hormuz or disrupting navigation therein. The resolution further affirmed that any attempt to impede the passage or freedom of navigation is a serious threat to international peace and security. We reiterate once again the importance of ensuring the security of maritime corridors and the freedom of navigation. And
all right, I'm going to jump forward a little bit now to the next country, which is Indonesia. All right, I'm going to take a listen to Saudi Arabia now. Saudi Arabia is up next.
Statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Saudi Arabia.
In
the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, Mr. President, Your Excellencies, at the outset, I would like to...
This is the Security Council now.
Warmly welcome His Excellency Dr. Abdul Latif Al-Zayani, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Bahrain. I would like to also congratulate Bahrain for assuming the presidency of the Council for this month and commend your distinguished efforts in managing the works of the Council, including the dedication of this debate to discuss the safety and security of waterways and means to enhance the protection of maritime navigation. At a time when the world is dealing with the repercussions of an unprecedented economic, social, political, and environmental crisis. I would also like to thank His Excellency the Secretary General and the Secretary General of IMO and Mr. Nick Childs for their briefings. This session comes at a very critical and delicate point. The accelerating developments in our region, the Arab Gulf region, witnesses an unprecedented conflict around the Strait of Hormuz that is a vital lifeline not only for the countries of the region but for the security of the global economy as a whole. Any threat to the freedom of navigation in this waterway, the strategic waterway, would have direct impact on the stability of energy markets and global supply chains. I would also like to point to the unwavering position that scores of member states have reiterated outside this room, which stressed that the security of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz is a collective priority, a joint responsibility that requires adherence to international law, particularly UNCLOS, to guarantee the freedom of transit and navigation and that the Strait of Hormuz is not subject to any threat or obstruction.
At a time when challenges are exacerbated, we regret the fact that the Security Council was unable to adopt a specific resolution regarding the protection of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz despite the serious nature of the current threats. This requires an urgent need to strengthen the unity of the Council and for the Council to shoulder its responsibility in safeguarding international peace and security, including taking effective and deterrent measures. We condemn any acts or threats by Iran that seek to obstruct international navigation through the Strait of Hormuz, and we stress that any undermining of the freedom of navigation is a serious threat to international peace and security, and for the need to keep the Strait of Hormuz open for navigation in line with the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea of 1982 without any restrictions. The Kingdom supports all international and regional efforts seeking to de-escalate the situation and stop the war. We commend the mediation efforts by brotherly and friendly countries alongside the initiatives led by the UN to reach a peaceful settlement of this conflict, of this crisis, and spare the region and the world further tension and instability.
All right, we're going to jump forward to Iran now. Okay, I think this is the one you wanted to hear.
To take into consideration economic
Iran
and
is about
security
to
dimension
speak.
initiative on with
This is Iran now.
waterways of main arteries
of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, Mr. President, since 28 February, the United States and the Israeli regime have waged an unwarranted large-scale war of aggression against Iran in flagrant violation of international law and the United Nations Charter, particularly Article 2, disrupting maritime security and freedom of navigation and threatening regional and international peace and security. The Strait of Hormuz has been increasingly utilized to support military attacks in the region, including the transfer of military equipment intended for hostile action against Iran. This militarization has exposed international shipping to heightened and unprecedented risk of Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. In the meantime, the United States has continued its internationally wrongful act by imposing maritime blockade, unlawfully seizing Iranian commercial vessels and detaining their crews. These dangerous escalating measures violate international law, breach the UN Charter, constitute the crime of piracy and amount of act of aggression as defined in Article 3 of the General Assembly Resolution 3314.
This
Mr.
is
President, as the principal coastal states which the Strait of Hormuz lies within its territorial seas, Iran has taken necessary and practical measures consistent with international law to address emerging threats for safe and secure navigation, maintain the continuous passage of vessels, and prevent misuse of this vital waterway for hostile or military purposes. These measures are grounded in Iran's right and obligation under the law of the sea and its national laws and regulations, with a view to striking an appropriate balance between the security interests and the coastal states and the continued safe conduct of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz in a highly volatile environment. These practical measures will be carefully examined in light of the evolving circumstances. Iran is not a party to the 1982 Convention on the Law of the Sea. Accordingly, it is not bound by its treaty-based provisions, except to extend the specific rules reflected therein and universally recognized as customary international law, lasting stability and security.
He means jus cogent norms, which supersede any given treaty.
In the Persian Gulf and the wider region can only be achieved through a durable and permanent cessation of aggression against Iran, supplemented by credible guarantees of non-recurrence and full respect for the legitimate sovereign rights and interests of Iran. In conclusion, I categorically reject the allegation made against my country at today's meeting. Claims made by some delegation lack any legal basis. They serve only to divert attention from realities on the ground and the commission of an internationally wrongful act by the United States and its allies. Those delegations have once again exposed the double standards, demonstrating that their concerns for maritime safety and navigation is neither genuine nor consistent with their actions and positions. They assert the navigational rights must not be threatened, but deliberately ignore the United States' unlawful action, including the imposition of maritime blockade and its recent terrorist attack on Iran's commercial vessels, the conduct that bears the hallmarks of piracy and hostage-taking, and act like a pirate and terrorist group. Certain delegations have also misused this council by deviating from the agenda, aligning themselves with the aggressors and raising irrelevant and unrelated issues in the today's discussions. Mr. President, the responsibility for any disruption, obstruction, or other interference with the maritime transport in the Persian Gulf, Gulf of Oman, and the Strait of Hormuz lies directly with the aggressors, the United States and its supporters, whose unlawfully and destabilizing action have heightened tensions and endangered maritime safety and freedom of navigation. I thank you.
I thank the...
Okay, let's see who's up next. Thailand, and then who's next? Who's this? The Netherlands, and then Timor-Leste, and then India, and then Bulgaria, and then who speaks after Bulgaria? I'm thrilled that Bulgaria is taking a strong position. Thank you, Bulgaria. Who's next?
Remain as the
Philippines.
For maintaining
Who's after the
international peace and
Philippines?
security.
Has warned about the impacts
Brazil.
of this conflict on
We're watching
energy
the
and
UN.
fertilizer trade. And
They're
on
talking
food
about the
security.
Strait of Hormuz.
To have a conflict compromising this vital trade route and threatening the integrity of commercial vessels is unacceptable. Mr. President, freedom of navigation is a core principle of international law that all countries must respect. We echo the Secretary General's call for a permanent cessation of hostilities in the Middle East and the opening of the Strait of Hormuz. We also take this opportunity to express our support for the UN Task Force, which is developing a mechanism to address humanitarian needs in face of the Strait of Hormuz crisis. Brazil reiterates its commitment with maritime security governed by law and cooperation. In this context, we believe that the principles and values of the South Atlantic Peace and Cooperation Zone, ZOPACAS, which establishes the South Atlantic as a zone of peace, free from weapons of mass destruction and preserved from foreign geopolitical disputes, send a relevant message and example to today's world. These principles were reiterated in the Rio de Janeiro Declaration, issued at the beginning of the month, marking ZOPACA's 40th anniversary and the start of Brazil's presidency of the group. Thank you.
I thank the representative of Brazil for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Nigeria.
Mr. President, Nigeria congratulates your delegation on assuming the presidency of the Council and thank you for convening this vital open debate. We meet today against the backdrop of widening global maritime crisis, where international waterways are increasingly under siege, from the strategic checkpoints of the Middle East to the vital corridors of the Gulf of Guinea. The recent disruptions and blockades in critical straits have sent shockwaves through the global economy, driving oil prices in record high and causing a spike in the cost of essential fertilizers and food commodities. For developing countries like Nigeria, these are not just economic numbers. They represent a direct depletion of national reserves and a threat to the livelihoods of millions. It is troubling that the maritime domain is now a theater for hybrid warfare. The transition from traditional piracy to sophisticated cyber attacks on port logistics and maritime digital infrastructure has introduced a layer of vulnerability that can paralyze regions' trade in ours. In our own region, while Nigeria, in collaboration with partners and countries, has successfully reduced piracy incidents through the Deep Blue Sea, the persistence of illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing continues to rob the African continent of over $10 billion annually, undermining our blue economy and fueling local instability. Our experience has shown that national efforts are most effective when nested with robust international frameworks. Nigeria remains a staunch advocate for the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, as the legal constitution of our oceans. We also highly value our collaborative partnership with UNODC and international maritime organizations whose technical assistance has been instrumental in enhancing our maritime domain awareness. Mr. President, to strengthen the protection of international waterways, Nigeria wishes to highlight 3 areas for enhanced cooperation. First, zero tolerance to unlawful blockades. The Council must reinforce the principle of freedom of navigation. Any deliberate disruption of international shipping lanes for political leverage must be met with a united and swift international response to protect global food and energy security. Second, sustaining regional architecture. We call for deeper coordination between the UN and regional mechanisms like the Yaoundé architecture. The success of the Yaoundé architecture proves that regional ownership works. However, to mitigate evolving threats of 2026, it is essential that the international community provides predictable and sustainable support, institutionalized financing for regional maritime security centers to help coastal states mitigate threats before they escalate into global crises. Third, resilience against hybrid threats. The Council must lead in developing norms to protect submarines, cables, and maritime digital infrastructure from cyber interference. We advocate for shared protocols to ensure that the digitalization of shipping does not become a backdoor for malicious actors. In conclusion, Mr. President, Nigeria believes that a secure maritime domain is a shared responsibility. We must move toward a more integrated UN response that links maritime security with sustainable development. Nigeria remains ready to collaborate with this Council and all partners to ensure our waterways remain conduits for peace rather than theaters of conflict. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Nigeria for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Italy.
This might be scathing.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excellencies, Italy aligns itself to the statement to be delivered by the European Union and would like to add some further remarks in its national capacity. Let me start by quoting the Secretary General Antonio Guterres, stressing that, and I quote, "Without maritime security, there can be no global security," end of quote. It is essential for the Security Council to maintain a focus on the increasing threats to maritime security and freedom of navigation. In this spirit, we commend the Presidency for convening today's timely debate. Maritime threats, such as piracy, terrorism, and various illicit activities, including migrant smuggling and the trafficking of arms and drugs, have wide-ranging implications for security, the economy, and the environment. Furthermore, today we are witnessing practices that weaken the very principle of freedom of navigation, putting it into under enormous stress. To stop and reverse this worrying spiral, we need to act collectively in some key aspects. First, we must abide by international law. We take this opportunity to recall that UNCLOS is the legal framework within which all activities at sea must be carried out. States have the primary responsibility to comply and to ensure compliance with the obligations contained therein, including those related to maritime security. Second, we must reaffirm the importance of the Security Council role in addressing maritime security in an integrated manner and across different regions. Building on the legal foundation provided by the UNCLOS and other key conventions, such as the Convention for the Suppression of Unlawful Acts Against the Safety of Maritime Navigation, the Security Council can offer guidance to resolve any disputes or disagreements with regard.
Yeah, although the Security Council won't do anything, I think, listen, Hezbollah has never just not responded to a massive series of Israeli raids, and they have been quiet despite probably 50 bombings in the past hour and a half. I don't even know what to tell you. Maybe they're all watching the UN, but this is live. And although the UN isn't going to do anything, I think a lot of them watch the UN to get the sense of how the world
to
is feeling.
maritime security in a course for preventing and combations. Within G7 plus friends of the Gulf of Guinea Group, we support the development of the regulatory and capacity building framework of the countries and the regional institutions that are part of the Yaoundé architecture and contribute to the maritime security in the region through the periodic presence of units of the Italian Navy. In the Red Sea region, Italy is actively engaged in Operation Aspides, working to protect vital shipping lanes in accordance with UNCLOS and the UN Security Council Resolution 2722. In the same vein, we welcome a multilateral approach to ensure maritime security and freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz, where unilateral actions such as the unlawful application of a toll system threaten safe and free navigation, as well as the right of transit passage. Disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz have direct implications for the security of maritime routes, global energy supplies, and food security. Italy supports all negotiated solutions aimed at ensuring stability in the region and stands ready to contribute to efforts to safeguard the freedom of navigation and to preserve the stability of global markets. We believe that any international mission should be strictly defensive in nature, coordinated with regional and international partners, and deployed only once hostilities have ceased. Italy reiterates its solidarity towards the Gulf countries affected by unacceptable retaliatory strikes. Italy will remain steadfast in its commitment to upholding freedom of navigation globally and reinforcing the law of the sea. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of Italy for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Cuba.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, maritime security is a crucial question. Any threat in this domain has global repercussions, especially for developing countries, and in particular for those like Cuba, our small island developing states. Our country has experienced the negative impact of the United States' actions that restrict maritime transport. The executive order of President Donald Trump from the 29th of January of this year blocks fuel supplies to Cuba with the purpose of hardening the collective punishment meted out to Cubans to provoke discontent among the population and the stated objective of toppling the government. The energy blockade seeks to intimidate, pressure, and extort those who engage in sovereign trade with Cuba because it contemplates the threat of sanctions against third countries and foreign companies. We reiterate our condemnation of the acts of piracy and terrorism carried out against oil vessels and their crews committed by forces of the United States in the Caribbean Sea that are a violation of international law, maritime law, and the freedom of navigation and trade, and they threaten maritime security. The recent actions of the United States government, with an extraterritorial character that is clear, add to their extreme measures of economic warfare against Cuba since 2019, designed to block any kind of fuel supply to our country through sanctions and intimidation against producers and providers, as well as transportation and insurance companies. Cuba has every right to trade in fuel with any other country without threats, obstacles, conditions, or questions about the sovereign prerogative of every state to export fuel and establish trade relations with Cuba based on the norms that guide free trade without the interference of an external power. The economic, commercial, and financial blockade imposed by the United States government against Cuba affects the freedom of trade and navigation, not just of our country, but also other states. It undermines our sovereignty and hampers economic progress and the aspirations that we have for sustainable development, which is a flagrant violation of international law. The Torricelli Act, that is part of the laws and regulations that sustains the blockade, includes sanctions against boats that enter Cuban ports. They are banned from docking in American ports in the following 180 days. These restrictions impede gaining offers of operation from vessels and create higher tariffs for Cuban port operators. Mr. President,
another strike.
The grave escalation in the Middle East.
Listen, something is not right. Israel has bombed. Listen. I am counting the number of bombings in South Lebanon right now every minute. There was just another one right now south of Sur in Al-Khalalia. What is going on here? I mean, it started about an hour ago. And I'm trying to keep a list of the towns that are being bombed, but it's too many towns to keep track of. And Hezbollah is not just going to sit there. That's not what they do. There's something off. Something is wrong. I'm telling you, I watch the pattern all the time. I don't know what to say right now. There's something very strange about this. The rapid pace of the bombing in southern Lebanon with no response. If Hezbollah were responding, what I would be telling you is, listen, over the past few nights, Israel has been bombing in southern Lebanon, the IDF. So Hezbollah has been bombing back in waves, tet-a-tat, like tit for tat, with the IDF bombings. There have been no Hezbollah return attacks, and the bombings have been striking southern Lebanon for an hour and a half, and they're not stopping. They haven't struck Beirut, but they have struck southern Lebanon at least 50 times. And Hezbollah has done nothing. That is a break in the pattern. I don't know what the break in the pattern means, but it's a break in the pattern. I'm monitoring it very closely.
Military aggression of the United States and Israel against Iran has also brought with itself new risks for maritime security. This war that was imposed upon the region is the result of known interests of domination that have put at risk in more than one...
Israel has canceled, I saw this earlier, Israel canceled a series of holiday gatherings in the north as well, which also immediately tripped my attention earlier. It didn't cause me to go live, but it had me kind of eyeing tonight into tomorrow. I don't really understand the break in the pattern. I wish I had an easy explanation for you. I do not. We're monitoring the UN to see which other countries speak at the Security Council, which is live now, and then I'm going to see if the pace of activity correlates to the UN Security Council meeting concluding.
Security and regional and international stability. It is urgent to deploy efforts to stop this aggression and its consequences, including the impacts that have been felt in all states in the Middle East. We reiterate our call for the respect for the national sovereignty, territorial integrity, and security of all nations in the region, and to preserve the principle of good relationships among neighbors, moderation, and dialogue. Mr. President, the international community should act with determination and urgency to stop the mushrooming of conflicts, coercion in international relations, recurring threats, and the indiscriminate use of force, and the application of an abhorrent doctrine that says that peace can somehow be found through force. We would like to highlight the relevant role of the International Maritime Organization to promote navigational safety. Cuba is a member state, and we deem that it is especially important given its efforts to develop maritime transportation. I would like to conclude by reiterating Cuba's call to promote international cooperation and collective efforts to address common challenges when it comes to international peace and security, and to ensure a safe and sustainable maritime domain on the basis of respect for international law, including the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Cuba for the statement. I give the floor now to the representative of New Zealand.
President, maritime routes are critical enablers.
Okay, we'll be back to New Zealand in 1 second. I just want to show you the rapid pace of updates from southern Lebanon. All right, so in the past 2 minutes, Batam Mountains and Al-Khalalia, south of Sur. I'll show you Putin and the Iranian foreign minister. Here's actually a picture from Jabal al-Batam in southern Lebanon. This is another in a series of primary source pictures. it's not the raids in southern Lebanon. There have been a lot of them. It's the lack of the Hezbollah response. I'll now show you the Iranian foreign minister after he left his meeting with President Putin earlier today.
در حد یک جمله آقای دکتر بفرمایید چی شد نتیجه مذاکرات؟
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. ملاقات بسیار خوبی رو با جناب پوتین داشتیم، شاید بیش از یک ساعت و نیم طول کشید. همه موضوعات هم در روابط دو جانبه، هم در مسائل منطقه‌ای، هم در بحث جنگ و تجاوز رژیم آمریکا و رژیم صهیونیستی، همه ابعاد به مورد بحث قرار گرفت و همینطور همکاری‌های بین دو کشور. ایده‌های بسیار خوبی مطرح شد، زمینه‌های بسیار خوبی الان برای همکاری وجود داره. آقای پوتین هم فرمودن که نه فقط روسیه، همه دنیا الان داره تحسین میکنه مردم ایران رو به خاطر ایستادگیشون در مقابل آمریکا و به خاطر در اصل پیروزی در این جنگ نابرابر و ناعادلانه. ما از مواضع دوستان روسیه خودمون متشکر هستیم در طول این جنگ و من اراده جمهوری اسلامی ایران رو برای ادامه روابط راهبردی و شراکت راهبردی با روسیه در شرایط جدید هم اعلام کرد.
سپاسگزارم از شما. خیلی متشکرم.
Yeah, Tiffany, Bob, I feel like a lot of citizens get blamed for the actions of their countries, but I think as we've seen, the actual citizens of countries very rarely, if ever, align with the especially war aims of their government. Now taking you to about 4 hours ago, this was a release from Hezbollah. This is scenes from, I believe, the 15th of April, so about right as the ceasefire started, and this is Hezbollah's release 4 hours ago regarding first-person footage targeting, I think it's tanks in South Lebanon. Latest release from Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Let's take a look at the UN now and see if the US or Israel are speaking. Let's take a look at the UN now, back to the UN Security Council, showing you live images. Give me 1 second.
The right is enshrined in UNCLOS and is cast in
partners to help
Djibouti
ensure
speaking
safe
now.
passage for shipping in and around the Bab.
I don't know, Soul Controller. It's a
Our
little hot
President,
here
His
too.
Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh of Djibouti has
I
recently
agree, Lavender and
reiterated
Rose.
Djibouti's
And Adnan
government's
Khashoggi.
support
He
for
stole my
continued
paintings.
international efforts to keep vital sea lanes open, safe and accessible, consistent with international law and the peaceful settlement of disputes. Third, we see the growing link between maritime security and
During Iran's speech, they accused the U.S. of piracy, by the way.
environmental protection and climate change. Our waters face multiple overlapping pressures from pollution and illegal activities at sea to rising temperatures and ecosystem degradation. Incidents involving shipwrecks and spills threaten fragile maritime environments, as well as coastal communities whose livelihood depend on the sea. Addressing these risks is both a security and a development priority. The Security Council has an important role to play. It should continue to uphold the rules-based order at sea, reaffirm that no actor may threaten or use force to close and obstruct international shipping routes contrary to the Charter, condemn attacks on commercial shipping and civilian seafarers, and support efforts to de-escalate tensions in key choke points. It should encourage states to implement existing resolutions in international obligations and to cooperate with regional mechanisms that have proven their effectiveness. At the same time, the Council should remain attentive to the root causes of instability that manifest themselves at sea, including poverty, governance deficits, and the effects of climate change. Responses that focus solely on military instruments or narrow enforcement will not be sufficient. We need comprehensive approaches that integrate security, sustainable development, and environmental resilience. Thank you, Mr. President.
Who's next?
The representative of Paraguay for the Djibouti, I'm sorry, for the statement, and I give the floor to the representative of Paraguay.
Paraguay, go ahead. But while Paraguay speaks, I'm going to show you the latest from the meetings earlier today. There is an uneasy feeling in the air. There have been a litany of bombing raids. This was the message, by the way. I got the text of the message sent out to hundreds of thousands of Israeli citizens. Tonight I got the message itself. It says, Netanyahu, the leader of the Epstein cult, is attempting to maintain his position of authority by committing another act of careless stupidity. No, we'll go back to Paraguay. I just got this text and I wanted to make sure I read it for you because I only saw a summary of it earlier. This is a warning to you, the inhabitants, the Jewish inhabitants of the occupied territories. I'm half Jewish. I guess I don't live there, though. Get ready for a barrage of Saeed Majid missiles, quoting here. If you do not put an end to this stupidity, you will soon be spending weeks in your shelters, so stock up on supplies now. Handela Haq. Thank you, Grant. Always the beacon in the storm. God bless you, George. My pleasure and honor, my dear friend. God, I cannot wait to hang out with you. It is an honor and a pleasure, my dear friend. Can't wait for Cubbies baseball in September. Also, how about them Red Sox? The Red Sox are not doing very good right now. George loves baseball. God bless you, George. Thank you for your support of Talent Channel. So this was the message sent out to hundreds of thousands of Israelis tonight. It took me about an hour to actually get the message. But this was the actual message sent out. I'm not exactly sure. It's very ominous in tone. I think I have met one person from Paraguay in my life. I think I have met one person. By the way, the Red Sox fired like their entire coaching staff. Taking you now to the White House, where President Trump hosted the first sitting royal king from the UK on American soil since 1937. The king and Mr. Trump, along with First Lady Melania Trump, and I think that's Queen, what's her name, Camilla? Sat for tea in the, I believe that's the president's sort of dining area. That's upstairs near the president's bedroom. A very nice tea time. Something not so nice now, according to Andalu English. In the last day, so within the last 8 hours, Israeli airstrikes have killed 4 and wounded 51. A woman was among the dead, while the injured included 3 children and 6 women. There have been no response attacks by Hezbollah or Iran or anyone. On anyone. It's ominously quiet. Israel is bombing at will, and no one is doing anything about it. taking you now to the White House on the South Lawn, where the King and Donald Trump are taking a stroll to look at some beehives with the First Lady and Queen Camilla. Just oddly juxtaposed scenes, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, well, you can't score a goal in soccer without kicking the ball around a little bit. That's how I feel about it, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Taking you now to the meeting between President Putin of Russia and the Iranian foreign minister earlier today in Moscow. Okay, taking you one set of foreign leaders to the other. I'll show you the latest images from the White House now, where the President and the King of England are visiting a beehive as bombs fall on southern Lebanon, and there's an eerie silence for both Hezbollah and Iran, really showing that the President's ready to respond if something happens. No, not. Ah, yes, the wartime leader checking out the beehives. Oh, save the bees. Hashtag save the bees. Kill the bees on this. Wait a minute. 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 Let me see if I can do this for you. I'm making no promises here. All right? I'm making no promises about whether I can play Wu-Tang Killer Bees on the Swarm. But I'm gonna try. All right? I am gonna try. You deserve it. If not, we can play the Benny Hill music, okay? Yes, the British are coming. The British are coming to take our bees. The British are coming. The British are coming. Hashtag the British are coming. Hashtag the British are coming. All right, here's the best I got for you. Let me see. Okay, ready? I got one for you. I got the perfect thing for this. I got the perfect thing. Ready? Okay, I got it. Here we go. Do it. Bravo, bravo. Flight of the Bumblebee, ladies and gentlemen. The Flight of the Bumblebee. How can you not love that? How apropos. Oh, Zach, absolutely wonderful use of the 400-foot-tall baguette Queen of France, Boozy Beauty emoji. Did you know there is a 400-foot-tall Queen of France? Her name is Boozy Beauty, and she is the 400-foot-tall baguette Queen of France. She has her own emoji. Zach, it's so good to see you, my dear friend. Israel has been bombing southern Lebanon, and we don't know why no one has done anything about it. It's a little ominous. Here's the latest from video, by the way. This was released a few minutes ago. Mr. President appears to be sleeping.
We need to decide. This can't wait. Shh, be quiet. Can't you see the president is sleeping?
Oh, what a cute little president. Oh.
That he defeated Iran. We did it. We did it. We won.
I know, Max Love, it's wild.
That was a great discussion.
A wild night.
So, let's extend the deadline between us and Iran.
But, okay, here's the latest, by the way. There's another, I know we all like Lego videos. So if you're just tuning in and you're saying to yourself, you know what I need? You know what my girl needs? Lego videos. All right, fan. All right, fan. I will play you a Lego video. This one is called The Little Orange Man. Okay, this is a bedtime story for all the non-children. All the adults out there from age 19 through 99. This one's called The Little Orange Man.
Hey. Yeah. Check the map, homie. We don't play. Never. Listen. Hey. Check the map, homie. We don't play. Never. Listen. Lost in our fog, you call us the pirates? Man, check the mirror, dog, you're the one that's biased. Vultures on the water, fiending for the black gold. Straight freeloaders, doing what you're told. Pulled up with destroyers, flexing like you're on the block. But David with the Persian slingshot put you in a shock spot at Persian speedboats. Swerved out in the night, hit that U-turn, homie. Completely lost the fight. $1 billion toys, but you running from the claw. World is asking if the gate is open, yes or no. I just looked him in the eye and told him what I saw. Wait a minute, homie. I said, Inshallah. Little orange man, this is straight of Iran. Little orange man, Iran. Little orange man, get straight out of Homer's. Little orange man, get out. Little orange man, this is straight of Iran. Little orange man, Iran. Little orange man, get straight out of Homer's. Little orange. Twitter finger king, fake ring cap, master with the lies. Always tweeting great success while your whole damn squad cries. All get smacked to the Pope, throwing shade at Spain. But you a guppy out, he hit the Persian rain. Got an eagle made of glass, roasting on the holy sea. Mess with me? What? Ghost real quick, flee. Keep capping on the green, faking every single scoop.
Israel is invading Syria. I repeat, per TV Masiaraya. Syrian sources, there was an incursion of approximately 20 military vehicles belonging to the Israeli enemy forces in the village of Mariaya in the Yarmouk Basin area in the western countryside of Dara. So there is, for some reason, Israeli troop incursions, 20 vehicles, into eastern Syria. This is TV Al-Masirah, just 3 minutes ago. We'll go back to our Lego video. Thank you for watching Towel News. I'm not sure what's about to happen. Whatever's going to happen, we'll experience it together. We pray that it will be nothing. Strangely, in these times, nothing is the best result. It just leaves us more anxious for the next day. But somehow, nothing happening is the best thing possible. Do I think that's where we're going? 40, 60, 50, 50? I have no idea. It's anyone's guess. Save the goats and the camels.
This a Persian street war. The Gulf is our hood and we holding the key. Get back on your phone, you get no pass for free. Word is asking if the gate is open. Yes or nah, I just smile at him. I said Inshallah. Little orange man, this is straight of Iran. Little orange man, little orange man, get straight out of Homer's. Little orange man, get out. Little orange man, this is straight of Iran. Little orange man, little orange man, get straight out of Homer's. Little orange man, get out.
Okay, well, there you go. There's the latest. Oh boy. Let's check in on the UN now. I think Paraguay might have been speaking. We might jump live, though it depends if it reloads the page or not. Taking you back to the UN. Well, in America, apparently President Trump has legalized medical drugs of like every regard, every psychedelic. He's just kind of been like, give them drugs. I don't really know why, but you know. All right, here we go. Back to the UN. South Korea speaking. This is live. It's the Security Council.
Disputes through diplomacy. In this regard, we commend the mediation efforts of many countries in the region, as well as the tireless work of the
Nanya, I always thought you'd make a suitable Don Quixote.
General's personal envoy for the Middle East in facilitating dialogue and de-escalation. Third, the safety of seafarers and merchant vessels, the backbone of global commerce, must be protected. Attacks on civilians at sea would constitute a violation of international law, including international humanitarian law. Seafarers must never be collateral victims of armed conflict. In this regard, Republic of Korea fully supports the IMO's initiative to establish an evacuation and safe passage framework for vessels and seafarers. Mr. President, as a major maritime nation whose prosperity is inextricably linked to the sea, the Republic of Korea is committed to playing its part in addressing the threat to global maritime security. In this spirit, the Republic of Korea is actively participating in the Maritime Navigation Initiative in Strait of Hormuz, led by the United Kingdom and France. We remain firm in our resolve to work with all member states to ensure that our ocean remain safe, open, and secure for all. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Republic of Korea. I now give the floor to the representative of Mauritania.
Mauritania is a very small island nation in the south. I actually think it's off the coast of Africa. How are you all doing? There are a substantial amount of Israeli raids going on right now, but I don't think that's the story. I think the story is that there's no response from Hezbollah, and that's not a thing. That means they're waiting for Iran. I'm going to now take you to the latest from the Iraqi president's inauguration ceremony for Ali al-Zaidi to form a new government in the country.
إلى العراق الآن، حيث كلف الرئيس العراقي نزار أميدي السيد علي الزيدي بتشكيل الحكومة الجديدة بعد ترشيحه من قبل الإطار التنسيقي. وأضاف أميدي أن البلاد أنجزت المرحلة الثالثة من الاستحقاق الدستوري بعد تشكيل الزيدي، داعيا القوى السياسية إلى دعمه في مسار تشكيل الحكومة الجديدة. وهذه صور مشاهدينا للتأكليف الذي جرى مباشرة بعد اجتماع الإطار التنسيقي الذي تم فيه التوافق على اختيار السيد علي الزيدي للترشح لمنصب رئاسة الوزراء، ومن ثم تم تكليفه بتشكيل الحكومة. ستكون لديه مهلة لمدة شهر من أجل ذلك. نسمع هذه الكلمة لرئيس الوزراء المكلف علي الزيدي.
وتأكد الأخ المكلف أستاذ علي الزيدي سنكون أخوة وداعمين لك في عملك ومسيرتك إن شاء الله في التكليف وفي كابينتك الوزارية، ونيابة عن الأخي السيد النائب الأول وأخوتك وزملائك في مجلس النواب. نحن مستعدين حينما أكملت الكابينة الوزارية بالتوافق مع الكتل السياسية. مجلس النواب جاهز من أجل.
إذن كنا نتابع كلمة خلال التشكيل للسيد هيبة الحلبوسي رئيس مجلس النواب العراقي أثناء يعني تكليف الرئيس علي الزيدي بتشكيل الحكومة الجديدة. نتابع هذه الكلمة لعلي الزيدي.
المسؤولية وسأكمل الكابينة خلال فترة أقل من 30 يوم، وسأعمل خدمة للعراق والعراقيين.
If you're Hello, good evening. If you're wondering what's going on, this is Towel News. We're about an hour in here, and there's still no clarity on why there are incessant bombing raids in the south of Lebanon and Israeli troop incursions into Syria with no response of any kind from Hezbollah. Extremely abnormal. I'll take you to the latest scenes aired on Al Mayadeen from Iran. Oh, we know this song. This was just aired on Iranian state TV. I think we know this song. We use it to identify where different images come from so we can analyze them.
US Navy warship 121. I'm ready to open fire without any warning.
Oh, a lot of this is just footage from their launches. A lot of that is just footage from their launches, but it is very ominous. Taking you now to the scenes earlier when the President of the United States greeted the King of England. They had one of those handshake moments. Indeed, Nunya. You might be right. I'll show you some crowds from tonight. One of those handshakes. Mr. President always does that. As the raids continue across southern Lebanon with simply no response from Hezbollah. Let's take us back to the UN now.
Threats targeting maritime navigation. In this regard, we note that any threat or obstruction of navigation in international waterways and straits does not only affect a single state or region, but rather it generates far-reaching and cascading impacts on the global economy. We reiterate.
Breaking: Pete Hegseth is at the Capitol, asking for a meeting with the chairs and ranking members of the Senate Armed Services Committee, the House Armed Services Committee, and Defense Appropriations. This is the Big Eight. Pete Hegseth is on the Hill right now for a meeting with the Big Eight. I'm not sure what he's meeting with them about.
In this context, the importance of respecting the rules of international law, and in particular the UN Convention on Law of the Sea of 1982, UNCLOS, which is the comprehensive legal framework that governs the use of seas and oceans. It is the convention that guarantees the rights and obligations of states, including freedom of navigation and passage through and safe passage through straits used for international navigation. We also recall Security Council Resolution 552 on the importance of respecting freedom of navigation in international waterways and rejecting acts that threaten the safety of commercial vessels or that impede the flow of international trade. We further reaffirm the Security Council Resolution 2817, which stressed the need to address.
I'm going to take you now to the Senate, where I can confirm Pete Hegseth has arrived. Here's the picture. Pete Hegseth has arrived in the Senate. I repeat, the Secretary of War has arrived in the Senate for a briefing for the Big Eight. I'm not sure what he's there to meet with them about. I have no idea what is about to happen. I'm here with you, though, and then we will ride it through. Taking you back to the UN.
Iranian threats targeting maritime navigation, including attacks on vessels and maritime infrastructure. In conclusion, we underscore that the protection of waterways is a shared responsibility of the entire international community. Ensuring their safety requires genuine political will, mutual respect among states, and steadfast adherence to the rules of international.
The Big Eight is the chairs and ranking members of the Senate Armed Services Committee, the House Armed Services Committee, and the Defense Appropriations Committee, which is the Big Eight.
National law. Jordan reiterates its
Love.
support for all efforts aimed at enhancing the security and safety of maritime navigation in a manner that contributes to the maintenance of international peace and security and advances the achievement of development. Thank you, Mr. President.
Jordan, for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Croatia.
Okay, while they continue to talk at the UN. All right, I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I don't know why, Mr. President. So Mr. President is just, as all of this bombing is occurring, as the Secretary of War is at the Congress briefing the Big Eight, as Al Jazeera is confirming that 4 people have just been killed over the past few hours in Israeli airstrikes in the south, and 51 were wounded, including 1 woman and 3 children. 1 woman killed. As that is happening, the president and the king are just kind of giving out honey from a beehive. That's it! Don't make me do it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Don't make me do it. I'm doing it. Let them eat honey. I swear if he launches bombing raids while they're eating honey, this is absurd. I mean, it's outrageous. It's just, I don't get it. It's just so... As Heightened is in the Senate, briefing the Big Eight, President Trump and the King of England are dining on fine honey. Israel is bombing people and people are dying in southern Lebanon, and Hezbollah is not responding. Isn't that a little odd? Don't you feel that's a little odd? Hello, Googler. You're going to get yelled at by Nightbot, but that's okay. We just have to avoid all caps. Nightbot's a little finicky. He's a nice guy, but he's a little finicky. Hi, Miss Clutch. How you doing? Yeah, you know, this is what Americans think, you know, hanging out with the king. Yes, let them eat honey. Let them eat honey. Hashtag let them eat honey. It's outrageous. Actually, let's check in on Al Jazeera. I want to see if my friend Ali Hashim is okay. He did a top of the hour report maybe 2 hours ago. He might have gone to bed by now. If he hasn't gone to bed, it's actually a sign things are not good. So let us check. Let us go back a few minutes and just check in with the update. I'm not really sure where this night is going. I don't think it's in a positive direction. I just don't have a good premonition. Thank you, Water Under the Fridge. Water Under the Fridge says hates free speech. Nightbot hates all caps. All right, Ali Hashim has gone to bed. So if Ali Hashim has stayed up, that would have automatically told me something was very wrong. He has gone to bed. All right, here we go. Let's go back a few minutes for the top of the hour on Al Jazeera, just so I can get caught up.
Every weekday on Al Jazeera. This is a masterclass on colonization.
I agree.
It's very interesting
Van,
to look
how are
at
you,
the
sir?
relationship between French ideology and a reality
I do
of
like-
often economic exploit.
Different French.
French colonialism caused Vietnam. We're behind like 10 minutes.
This is Al Jazeera live from Doha with our continuing coverage of the developments out of Iran, Lebanon, and the United States. Coming up in the next 60 minutes.
The president's red lines with respect to Iran have been made very, very clear, not just to the American public, but also to them as well.
The Trump administration discusses a peace proposal from Iran, but it reportedly does not address the nuclear program.
And just who are the people who make up Donald Trump's trusted team of negotiators? And what exactly are they expected to achieve in diplomatic talks with Iran? That's coming up on This Is America.
Still under Israeli bombs, attacks on southern Lebanon continue in spite of a ceasefire in place.
The first count is attempted assassination of the President of the United States.
A 31-year-old California man is charged with trying to kill Donald Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. A royal reception, Britain's King Charles and Queen Camilla are at the White House for a high-stakes state visit. So then, the Trump administration has confirmed it's reviewing an Iranian proposal aimed at ending the war. The plan would set aside discussion of Tehran's nuclear program until the conflict with the US and Israel is ended and the deadlock over shipping through the Strait of Hormuz is resolved. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says while it's being considered, Washington's core conditions haven't changed.
I will confirm the president has met with his national security team this morning. The meeting may be ongoing, maybe not. I don't want to speak affirmatively because I was prepping to come out here, but the proposal was being discussed. I don't want to get ahead of the president or his national security team. What I will reiterate is that the president's red lines with respect to Iran have been made very, very clear, not just to the American public, but also to them as well.
Meanwhile, Iran's foreign minister says that Tehran is considering a request from the US to restart talks. Abbas Araghchi made the comments on social media after meeting Russian President Vladimir Putin in St. Petersburg. He says negotiations have stalled because of what he called Washington's destructive habits and changing demands. Putin also used the meeting to signal Russia's support for efforts to restore stability in the Middle East.
They have achieved none of their goals. This is why we ask for negotiation. We are now considering.
Al-Migdad Al-Rahid is live in Tehran. But first, let's speak to Mike Hanna.
Wow, Iran said they were considering the U.S.'s proposal a few hours ago, but then why is everything so quiet? Let's find out.
Standing by for us at the White House. Hi there, Mike. So Donald Trump has met with the national security team now. Any word on what was discussed?
There hasn't been an official readout of the particular meeting. It took place from mid-morning to early afternoon. He was joined by senior members of his cabinet, including, it is believed, the Vice President J.D. Vance and the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. But the exact details of what they were not discussing was not made public. We do know that they have received another proposal from Iran. Well, that was according to the press secretary. And obviously that was something on the agenda. But it's believed as well they were speaking about a far wider basis than the current situation and this difficulties of getting negotiations going in terms of discussing longer-term planning. But President Trump insisting that the ceasefire will remain extended. He says, and so do those around him, that it will be him and he alone.
The White House has called a lid. The White House has called a lid at 6 o'clock.
Who will decide when or if the ceasefire ceases. In the meantime, it does appear these attempts are still underway to get some form of negotiation going, and that would probably be the overarching aim of that meeting in the West Wing in the course of the day.
All right, Mike, thanks for that. Mike Hanna reporting there from the White House. Let's head to Tehran. Al-Migdad Al-Rahid is live for us there. And Al-Migdad, Iran's foreign minister has posted that they're looking into a request from Donald Trump for negotiations. What more do we know about that?
Well, indeed, this is, it looks like the result from what it looks like a shuttle diplomacy led by the top Iranian officials, by the top diplomat Abbas Araqchi, the foreign minister, starting from Islamabad to Oman and then to Moscow, meeting with Vladimir Putin. So we are seeing right now what it looks like an important shift in tone from the United States. Now Iranian saying that they are reviewing a request from United States official. So they are not responding to that request. They are reviewing. They are not responding directly. And what we know that the main obstacles and the main deadlock for this negotiations to not moving forward is that the nuclear file. But right now, the Iranian officials proposing a new proposal through Pakistan have been reportedly that they are saying, let's separate the track. Let's try a new approach by separate things from each other. The consequences of war, the blockade over the Strait of Hormuz, over the Iranian ports, and also the closing of the Strait of Hormuz. It's a consequences of war. The main issue and the origin reason for this war is a nuclear file. They are saying that let's speak, let's negotiate, sequencing these things and separating this. And this right now we will discuss these issues like the Strait of Hormuz, the sovereignty,
So water under the fridge. God bless you, my dear friend. Water under the... We're heading very close to our goat video party, by the way. That's going to be great. Especially if Mimi's here with the goat. Mimi has a baby goat named Ellie. All right. Water under the fridge asks if I think that taking the nuclear issue off the table or moving it till later is a non-starter. Frankly, I think all of this is a non-starter. I don't think Iran's going to open the Strait of Hormuz. That's their leverage. So I think the whole thing is a bluff. What I want to know is why is Hagsith on the Hill right now? I'm a little bit confused. There's probably some clause in the law that requires him to do it. I wonder if a pause of a certain number of days means Mr. President can re-invoke the War Powers Act or something for 60 more days. That's my first thought. Hashtag goat racing. Hashtag save the goats. We are just 4 super chats away from goat videos. I'll play goat videos no matter what. Hashtag save the goats. We love the goats. Mountain goat racing. Hashtag save the goats. And the camels. Hashtag save the camels. But yeah, my opinion is nothing about this proposed, like, trifurcated, so 3-stage peace negotiations makes sense. Frankly, nothing about the ceasefire makes sense. Frankly, nothing about Hezbollah just letting Israel bomb the hell out of southern Lebanon makes sense. Nothing about Israel canceling its holiday celebrations because of an imminent Hezbollah attack makes sense. Nothing about anything makes sense. It's the densest fog of war I've seen so far. I wish I had more insights for you. But overall, I think water under the fridge is a towel. Hashtag save the Great Lakes.
So this is what it looks like, the result from this official visit led by the top diplomat Abbas Araqchi. And the main issue, and also there is a mistrust between the United States. The Iranians saying that what leads to this tracks is a mistrust between the United States and Iranians. And so we are now open to negotiate, but after securing the commitment and securing the trust with the United States, then we will go forward.
As you say, Abbas Araqchi, the Iranian foreign minister, has been shuttling about. He's been to Pakistan twice. He's been to Oman, now Russia. Do we know where he might be going next and what that could tell us?
Well, he's supposed to come back home, come back here to Tehran, to conveying and to conveying the message that he have been gathering from the mediators, from the strategic partners like Vladimir Putin, and also from the mediators between Pakistan and traditional negotiating table in Oman. So this is what speculation speak about, that they will convey this message. He gathered a lot, he handed a lot. And so there will be a room for consultation inside the country, and then they will decide. After that, we will see the result from all this message, and the coming days definitely will reveal the result of this shuttle diplomacy.
Okay, that's a picture from Tehran. Al-Maghdad Al-Ruhaid. Thank you. Well, dozens of countries have gathered at the United Nations and they've warned that the instability in the Strait of Hormuz is continuing to disrupt global trade and energy supplies. The waterway remains contested, with Iran largely blocking shipping and the US maintaining a blockade on Iranian ports. Diplomats say they're assessing proposals from Tehran that could see the strait reopened in exchange for an end to the war. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres issued an urgent appeal.
Navigational rights and freedoms through the Strait of Hormuz must be respected, as affirmed by this Council's Resolution 2817. These principles must be upheld in full and without delay. I appeal to the parties: open the strait, let ships pass, no tolls, no discrimination, let trade resume, let the global economy breathe.
The most pressing issue, of course, before us is the Strait of Hormuz, and this crisis is not just affecting international shipping, it is driving up costs and sending shockwaves throughout energy markets and supply beyond the region, with impact for all of our citizens and our communities and their cost of living. So we must get the strait reopened fully and unconditionally. Freedom of navigation must be restored in line with international law. Shipping and seafarers must not be used as leverage, and there is no place for tolls or permissions in international straits. Freedom of navigation means navigation must be free.
So taking the UN, the UN's kind of meeting right now at the Security Council. So let's see who's speaking, and let's see who we missed. Oh, okay.
Japanese
let's see who spoke at the end. Let's see who spoke after Jordan, Poland,
political will,
and then okay, China spoke at the end. Let's listen to them. The UN's just about done for the day.
President, the Japanese representative's unwarranted remarks regarding the East China Sea and the South China Sea completely confound black and white. In reality, the situation in the East and South China Seas remains stable overall, and the South China Sea stands as one of the freest shipping lanes in the world. On the contrary, it is Japan that recently sent self-defense force vessels to flex their muscles and deliberately provoke tensions in the Taiwan Strait. This sends a gravely erroneous signal to the Taiwan independent separatists and exposes the ulterior motives of certain factions in Japan to intervene in the strait by force and sabotage peace and stability across the strait. During World War II, Japan waged wars of aggression against countries adjacent to the East and South China Seas, subjecting them to colonial rule and thereby amassed profound historical guilt. Japan must deeply reflect on its past and tread carefully in words and deeds rather than flaunting its military might and destabilizing the region. President, historically, Japanese militarism relied on a standard playbook to launch wars of aggression, fabricating quote-unquote external threats, inciting nationalism and hijacking the state apparatus. Today, rather than showing true remorse, Japanese right-wing forces are doubling down on reckless provocations regarding China's Taiwan region, the history of World War II, and military security, to name just a few. Erroneous remarks on Taiwan by Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi last year have dealt a severe blow to China-Japan relations. Recently, Japanese politicians and officials have repeatedly visited the Yasukuni Shrine, which honors Class A war criminals of World War II, in a blatant attempt to whitewash its wars of aggression, overturn the verdicts on its war criminals, and challenge both the Tokyo trials and the post-war international order. By way of constitutional amendments and other measures, Japanese right-wing forces are steering Japan's security policy towards an offensive and expansionist posture, vainly attempting to accelerate its remilitarization by reviving its military-industrial complex. By relaxing restrictions on lethal weapon exports, deploying offensive missiles, drastically inflating military spending, and floating the abandonment of its quote-unquote 3 non-nuclear principles, Japan's intent to pave the way for military expansion is laid bare. President, this year marks the 80th anniversary of the opening of the Tokyo trials. These trials adjudicated the crimes of aggression committed by Japanese militarism and militarists. Defending historical truth, international justice, and human dignity. Today, 80 years later, a new militarism is resurging in Japan, posing a dire threat to global peace and stability. The international community must strike back resolutely. We can never allow Japanese militarism to rise from the ashes. Regarding the EU representative, I must remind him to refrain from issuing unsubstantiated and irresponsible remarks on the South China Sea issue. I thank you, President.
All right. I have another question from the wonderful water under the fridge. God bless you, my dear friend. The question is, at what point does Russia backdoor Iran and take their oil contracts from China? Russia is pretty broke. Well, so it's odd because Russia has suffered a severe decrease in its capacity to export its oil. And it does need a certain amount of oil just to run itself domestically. I'm not really sure. Listening to the Chinese talk, they are very militant about the South China Sea. And I think China's going to ally with whoever in the bloc, the BRICS bloc, is most likely to support their posture towards Taiwan, and in particular control of that region in the South China Sea. It's more than just Taiwan. There's a lot of dredging. Dredging is where China kind of creates islands and then claims that it's their territorial waters. It's a little strange. In terms of Russia, though, I foresee the BRICS nations as a whole seeking to bring in Iran. I could see both Russia and China strongly supporting Iran, and I could see all three of them working together. It's kind of a natural fit. It's a concerning geopolitical realignment. It was kind of the message that the Iranian foreign minister was saying. He may as well have gone to Beijing too today. He went to Muscat, which is Oman, which is one of the key Gulf states. The Sultan of Oman has so much power that when his country got bombed, Iran apologized. So the foreign minister of Iran went from Oman to Islamabad to Moscow, which makes me think that it is more of a BRICS regional alignment here that Iran is seeking. But it baffles me. Israel bombing South Lebanon and just sort of all parties being like, well, they're just going to do that. I don't think that's what's going to happen. The whole point is that Iran was refusing to budge because Israel continued to bomb southern Lebanon. But I think Iran's attempts to cement itself with geopolitical allies in the region today is a very telling sign. But building alliances comes with deference. And who knows what Iran went to Moscow to actually say. We're going to bomb tonight. We're not going to bomb. We want peace. We want this. We have no idea what they actually said. In any event, that was the end of the UN meeting. I'm a little bit on edge. I will tell you, there's something just off about this whole series of events. And I don't believe that this peace negotiation is a peace negotiation. I'm not exactly sure. Neither of the sides are willing to budge on either of on any of the three core issues. So I just don't understand. There was a point in time where I thought I knew what was kind of going on. I was trying to read the tea leaves a little bit, and I saw an off-ramp by virtue of Iran and the U.S. coming to a peace deal and kind of isolating Bibi Netanyahu, therein ending the aggression against Lebanon and kind of facilitating Iran being sort of a third-party protector of Lebanon. That did not happen. Instead, Israel has in essence just been allowed to kind of have freedom to bomb in South Lebanon without recourse. Which makes me think that there is a coordinated response. I've seen a lot of hints that there's a coordinated response in the works. I just don't know what the trigger for that coordinated response will be. I don't know when it's going to happen. It's probably the most unease I've felt. It's almost more uneasy than when you know the bombs are coming. So I just don't see what makes me so uneasy is Iran really was insistent on the bombs not dropping in Lebanon. Hezbollah is not going to revert to the same ceasefire as 2024, where Israel had freedom of movement in the south, and Israel has continued to bomb. Iran's not going to budge on the nuclear enrichment issue. They're not. And Mr. President Trump's not going to budge either. And bring in the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran uses as tactical leverage, coupled with the reports of Israel pushing protests on the street in Iran over the next day. It just all seems to be a masquerade, like a restock time. But there's such an unease. It's a very uncomfortable. It's the first time I've actually felt uncomfortable during all of this. I think it's because I don't have a good read on it. I don't think anyone does. And frankly, I think that's what both sides want. I think everything getting out to the public is fake. And both sides are posturing for something. And they don't want anyone else to see it. But the way I can read the tea leaves is by the change in the way Hezbollah is responding to Israeli attacks. Hezbollah would never, over the past 3 days, actually more like 7 days, have just let those attacks go by. They would just do a small round of tit-for-tat bombings back towards the north. Nothing. Silence. Complete radio silence from Hezbollah for 17 hours, but in particular the past 3 hours. It's 6:28 p.m., coming up on 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for watching Towel News. My name is Grant Smith Ellis, reporting to you from Boston. It is, 12:28 a.m. in South Africa. It's 1:28 a.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, and it's 1:58 a.m. in Tehran, Iran. We're not quite at the witching hour. I think I will stay with you until about 3 a.m. 2 to 3 a.m. tends to be the witching hour. If we get through that hour with nothing happening, it's a very ominous sign. It's almost more ominous than if there were just a few waves of attacks from Hezbollah. The silence is deafening. It's deafening and it's oppressive and it's nerve-wracking and it bothers me. It makes me think they're all preparing for something. I have a very uneasy feeling. Our latest from Al Arabia reporting on the Wall Street Journal, which said, among other things, after a meeting today, that although President Trump's willing to send a counter proposal to the Iranians, he sees them as intransient, and in turn he's willing to restart bombing.
يعني الآن المسؤولون الأمريكيون يتحدثون لوول ستريت جورنال بأن الرئيس ترامب سيستأنف قصف إيران إذا شعر أن المفاوضات غير مجدية. يضيفون أيضا كذلك بأن ترامب يرى أن إيران لا تتعامل بحسن النية بشأن ملفها النووي. يعني الآن المسؤولون الأمريكيون يتحدثون لوول ستريت.
Very active situation in Mali right now as well.
جورنال بأن الرئيس ترامب سيستأنف قصف إيران إذا شعر أن المفاوضات.
All right, I'll take you to South Lebanon now. I don't have it translated, but I'll take you to South Lebanon now. I know a lot of folks speak Arabic. Interpretal might be sleeping, but here's the latest from South Lebanon 4 minutes ago.
العمليات كانت في إطار الرد على استهداف المدنيين. في أحد البيانات تقول المقاومة إنها استهدفت دبابتي ميركافا في بلدة الناقورة بمسيرتين انقضاضيتين، الأمر الذي أدى إلى وقوع إصابات مؤكدة في صفوف جيش الاحتلال الإسرائيلي بناء على بيان المقاومة. أيضا المقاومة أعلنت عن استهداف جرافة عسكرية من نوع D9 في مدينة بنت جبيل كانت تقوم بهدم المنازل بمسيرة انقضاضية. وكذلك الأمر استهدفت المقاومة دبابة من نوع ميركافا في بلدة القنطرة، وبحسب البيان هناك إصابات مؤكدة في صفوف جيش الاحتلال الإسرائيلي. الإعلام الإسرائيلي تحدث اليوم عن نقل عدد من الإصابات في صفوف جيش الاحتلال الإسرائيلي إلى مستشفى رامبام في حيفا. هذه العمليات كما ذكرنا تأتي في إطار تثبيت معادلة الردع للمقاومة في مواجهة الاعتداءات الإسرائيلية وفي مواجهة احتلال إسرائيل لأراضي لبنانية، وهي مستمرة في هذا الأمر. وهذا ما أعلن عنه الأمين العام لحزب الله الشيخ نعيم قاسم في كلمته يوم أمس، مؤكدا بأن المقاومة ثابتة وستواجه حتى يندحر جيش الاحتلال الإسرائيلي عن الأراضي اللبنانية. فيما يتعلق بالاعتداءات الإسرائيلية، كان هناك عشرات الغارات من قبل جيش الاحتلال الإسرائيلي. آخر هذه الغارات كانت باتجاه بلدة الخليلي في قضاء صور، وكذلك الأمر باتجاه أطراف بلدة جبال البطم. وقصف مدفعي قصف مدفعي إسرائيلي استهدف خراج بلدة زبقين. هذا الأمر حصل في الساعة الماضية. وإذا ما أردنا استعراض الاعتداءات الإسرائيلية، نبدأ من التفجيرات الكبيرة لعدد من المربعات السكنية والكتل العمرانية في مناطق متفرقة في الجنوب اللبناني. أبرزها كان في بلدة شمع، ضويء انفجار سمع في الجنوب بشكل كبير. أيضا كان هناك عمليات تفجير استهدفت بنت جبيل رب 30 الطيبي أكثر من مرة، وكذلك الأمر عيط الشعب وبلدة شحين التي تقع ضمن قرى قضاء صور. أيضا كان هناك قصف مدفعي مركز استهدف بلدات أو منطقة علمان الشمارية، وكذلك الأمر بنت جبيل، المنصوري، يحمر الشقيف، مجد الزون، بيوت السياد، ياطر، يحمر الشقيف، أيضا أطراف زوطر الشرقية وأطراف زوطر الغربية. فيما يتعلق بالغارات التي نفذتها الطائرات المسيرة، أيضا كان هناك استهداف في بلدة برعشيت. هناك إصابات وهناك بالأحرى شهداء وإصابات من المدنيين في هذه الغارة. وكذلك الأمر في بلدة الخليلي صباح اليوم هناك شهيد وجريح. وأيضا بلدة المنصوري الطائرات الحربية الإسرائيلية نفذت سلسلة غارات عنيفة استهدفت مناطق متفرقة.
Hi Mimi, hi Ellie. So that was about the latest, this was 4 minutes ago, covering the latest battles in southern Lebanon, where strangely, despite hours, I'd say 40 to 50 Israeli raids, bombing raids in South Lebanon over the past 2 hours, there has been no response. Zero. None. The silence hangs heavy. And the reason why is, even during the ceasefire, when Israel would attack in South Lebanon, Hezbollah would always respond. It was always symmetrical responses, like a bombing or a raid for a raid. A very intense pace of bombings. That's an understatement. If I read for you all the towns where the bombings occurred in South Lebanon over the past 2 hours, it would take me 5 minutes. That's a little bit abnormal. I won't say there haven't been bombings at that pace over the past few days. I think there was only one day right after the ceasefire started where Israel dropped 100 bombs in 10 minutes, where things really escalated. Israel has not bombed in Beirut over the ceasefire. Israel has bombed mostly in the south of Lebanon, south of the Litani River. It's a lot of Shia-heavy communities, but it's a few Catholic Maronite communities as well, Christian communities. The bombing has been very heavy over the past 11, 15 days, whatever it's been, of the ceasefire. But one thing that is, and I notice patterns, so one thing that has been very consistent is when there is a bombing in South Lebanon, or a series of bombings, Hezbollah will do a tit-for-tat bombing. That's the pattern. And I'm not saying what this break in the pattern means. I'm just saying it's odd. For the bombings to go completely unanswered. It's almost a new paradigm in the war. If it goes unanswered, then it gives Israel or Bibi the impression that he can bomb at will. However, there's a wild card in all this, which is two of the Israeli politicians, the opposition, Bennett and one other guy, launched a coalition to unseat Netanyahu domestically. The Arab parties in Israel, during an interview on the radio this morning, indicated that they would join that bloc, which gives that bloc a lot of seats, a substantial amount, like 26 plus 15 to 17. So like 36 to 38 seats. It's an absurd amount of seats. And they might be able to unseat him. The problem is the election doesn't happen until October in Israel. So Bibi's in power until October no matter what. And no one can just let Bibi bombing raid South Lebanon indiscriminately without a response. Thus, the lack of a response is concerning. It's a red flag, I think is the best way to describe it. Coupled with Israel canceling holiday celebrations in the north because of fears of a Hezbollah attack. That's abnormal. They haven't done that in the past 14 days. So I just don't know what to make of all of this posturing. And I've probably covered this war more so than anyone else. And it's really, I was thinking about this today. I was talking about it with Tal's girlfriend. It's really unsettling to be in this faux, like the first part of this war was a phony war. This is a phony ceasefire. And it's very unsettling because it feels like all of the sides are lying. And it makes it very difficult to understand what is actually going to happen. So that's my erudite analysis. Let me show you the latest from Al Arabia about the Wall Street Journal report. This will be in Arabic for those of you who speak Arabic. And Mr. President Trump, according to American officials, does not think the Iranians are dealing in good faith. So let's take a listen to this report.
إذا نعيد التذكير مشاهدينا بجملة هذه الأخبار العاجلة والمهمة ينقلها طبعا مسؤولون أمريكيون للوول ستريت جورنال بشأن تعامل الرئيس الأمريكي دونالد ترامب مع المقترح الإيراني. يقولون بأن ترامب سيستأنف قصف إيران إذا شعر أن المفاوضات غير مجدية. يقول المسؤولون الأمريكيون أيضا لوول ستريت جورنال بأن ترامب يرى أن إيران لا تتعامل بحسن نية بشأن ملفها النووي. وقالوا أيضا بأن ترامب لديه شكوك. قال هذا الحديث لفريقه الأمني تجاه العرض الإيراني. قال أيضا المسؤولون بأن ترامب تحدث
Very unconfirmed reports circulating about tensions domestically in Iran right now. Now listen, a lot of people are going to see this because it was on one of those Twitter accounts that goes viral. I don't have any indication, any indicia from what I've been seeing in the chat or otherwise that there's anything happening internally in Iran. So I want to start off by saying that. However, in the context of what I just said, it does feel like there's a little bit of a power vacuum right now. Within the past 37 minutes, and you will see it on Twitter, but it is very unconfirmed. It's just someone saying something. Just because a Twitter account not associated with a news agency says something does not make it confirmed. I'd call it chatter at best. There are reports, initial though they may be, that there is something happening internally in Iran. Now, couple that with the complete silence from Hezbollah and the odd posturing of the West, I'm wondering if there's something going on domestically in Iran. Radio silence, the oddest radio silence of the war.
أمني بأن إيران تتهرب من إنهاء التخصيب أن الولايات المتحدة ستقدم الرد ومقترحات مضادة للعرض الإيراني خلال أيام قليلة. ترامب لم يرفض حتى الآن المقترح الإيراني مشاهدين كما ينقل المسؤولون الأمريكيون. والمفاوضات لا تزال مستمرة. هناك ضغوط من الوسطاء في مسألة تثبيت وقف إطلاق النار وعدم العودة إلى الحرب. الجهود طبعا مكثفة للتوصل إلى اتفاق محتمل بين الولايات المتحدة وإيران، والضغوط مستمرة من الوسطاء على طهران وواشنطن للوصول إلى اتفاق. لكن كل هذا لا يستبعد العودة إلى الحرب والانسحاب من المفاوضات. الولايات المتحدة
Yes, so a very odd series of events right now. I'm going to monitor. I'm not confirming anything. The silence, though, listen. Obviously, by the way, there's a lot of pollen in the air. The trees are blooming where I am. So I'm going to be stuffy-nosed towel for a few days, maybe a week. But I'll tell you this. There's something just drastically off right now, and there's a very strange feeling in the air. And there's an odd silence, almost like the chain of command among the axis of resistance broke down. It really does feel that way, but I can't, it's just my feeling. I have nothing to confirm that. I think there's something going on in Iran, but until I see people who are in Iran like saying things on the channels that the serious Iran reporters say, I'm just going to go with something is off. All right? Let's take a look at Al Arabia's roundup of the world's headlines for going into tomorrow, Tuesday.
هنا كلما ابتعدت عن صخب خاركيف واتجهت شمالا
This is Ukraine, where Ukraine has installed nets over the roads to protect from Russian drone attacks. Very smart approach.
بحية الحرب. الطريق الذي كان يوما شريانا للحياة تحول إلى ممر للاختبارات الأمنية الصعبة. فوق رؤوسنا تمتد شباك الأمان، محاولة أوكرانية لترويض خطر المسيرات الروسية التي تترصد العابرين. حل بسيط في شكله، لكنه أصبح جزءا من معركة يومية. مشهد شد هذه الخيوط يختصر حكاية بلد يحاول حماية سمائه بشتى الوسائل.
ثمة حاجة ماسة لهذه الشباك، خاصة لدينا في المجموعات المتنقلة، لأنه في أثناء قيادة السيارة لا يمكنك دائما السمع والرؤية والتفاعل مع الموقف في الوقت المناسب.
لا تبدو هذه الشباك إجراء موضعيا في هذه المنطقة فقط، بل هي جزء من توجه أوكراني أوسع لتغطية قرابة 4000 كيلومتر من الحماية المربدة للمسيرات على الطرق بحلول نهاية العام. كلما اقتربنا من تخوم الخوف ينسحب ضجيج الحياة وتفرغ الطريق إلا من آليات التعزيز. العيون هنا لا تغادر السماء، والركام على الجنبات يروي قصة قصف لم يفرق بين آلية عسكرية وسيارة مدنية.
نشعر باستمرار بوجود العدو، فقد وصلتنا إلى هذه المنطقة في الفترة الأخيرة طائرات مسيرة. قبل حوالي شهر بدأنا تثبيت حواجز وشبكات مضادة للطائرات المسيرة على الطريق المؤدي إلى خاركيف. ربما لا توفر حماية كاملة، لكنها إجراء وقائي على الأقل، فإذا علقت الطائرة المسيرة في هذه الشبكات فيمكن أن يخفف ذلك من خطورتها أو يمنعها من الوصول إلى هدفها.
نصل إلى ستاري سالتيف، مدينة صغيرة تقع على الطريق المؤدي إلى فوفشانسك، إحدى أكثر جبهات القتال اشتعالا في شمال أوكرانيا. هنا تبدو آثار الحرب واضحة. المدينة التي سقطت في الأيام الأولى من الغزو الروسي وعادت لاحقا إلى السيطرة الأوكرانية تقف اليوم مرة أخرى على تخوم الخطر.
That's the report on the Ukrainian nets preventing the Russian drones. Let me show you the latest from the Secretary of State. I think Trey Yingst, this is just a section of the interview. Trey Yingst just did an interview with the Secretary of State. Here's a small clip. It's not the full...
Absolutely. Great to see you.
1 second.
What do you see as the main roadblock to an...
Buffer. It's buffering a little bit.
It's great to see you're not on a balcony with a vest on. Absolutely. Great to see you. What do you see as the main roadblock to an agreement with the Iranian government?
Well, other than the fact that the country's run by radical Shia clerics, that's a pretty big impediment. The other is that they're deeply fractured internally. And I think that's always been the case, but I think it's far more pronounced now. The best way to understand Iran is you have a political class. Now, I think, look, people talk about moderates and hardliners. They're all hardliners in Iran. But there are hardliners who understand they have to run a country and an economy, and there are hardliners that are completely motivated by theology. The hardliners that are motivated by theology are not just the IRGC officials, but obviously the supreme leader and the council that surrounds him.
Do you believe that Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, is alive?
Well, we have indications that he is. Obviously, they claim that he is. We don't have evidence that he's not. But I think the unresolved questions here are, does he have the same credibility as his father did? You know, we know that for many, many years, at least I know that for many years, there's been internal debates in Iran about succession and whether it should be, hereditary based. Should it be this? There are a lot that are resistant to that. Does he have the clerical credentials to actually act as supreme leader? Is he actually making the decisions, or is there somebody standing in his stead who's basically controlling 90% of it and is the one actually making decisions on his behalf? We don't know the answers to these questions.
Reports do indicate Iran has offered to open the straits, but they want to delay conversations about their nuclear program. Would this be acceptable to the Trump administration?
Well, again, I'm not going to speculate about the president's decision-making on this matter. Suffice it to say that the nuclear question is the reason why we're in this in the first place. If Iran was just a radical country run by radical people, but, it'd still be a problem. But they are revolutionary. In essence, they seek to expand and export their revolution. Not just what they do in Iran. That's why they're with Hezbollah in Lebanon. That's why they've supported Hamas. That's why they've supported the militias in Iraq. They don't just seek to dominate Iran. They seek to dominate the region. And imagine that with a nuclear weapon. Look what they've done with the Straits. Great example. The Straits is basically the equivalent of an economic nuclear weapon that they're trying to use against the world. And they're bragging about it. They're putting up billboards in Tehran bragging about how they can hold 25% or 20% of the world's energy hostage. Imagine if those same people had access to a nuclear weapon. They would hold the whole region hostage.
Do you believe the Iranians are serious about making a deal?
I think the Iranians are serious about getting themselves out of the mess that they're in. All the problems Iran had, they had riots a few months ago, and these were economic riots. All the problems that Iran had before the start of this conflict are still in place, and most of them are worse. And now they have half the missiles, none of the factories, and no navy.
If there is no deal, what comes next?
Well, again, that's the president's decision to make. I would start out by reminding everybody that the level of sanctions on Iran are extraordinary. The pressure on Iran is extraordinary, and I think more can be brought to bear. But I hope that in the aftermath of this conflict, the whole world's eyes have been opened to the threat Iran poses.
I know that regime change is not a goal of the Trump administration, but do you see a scenario in which the actions of the United States and Israel lead to regime change?
Well, I think, look, regime change is something that has to happen from within. But changing the regime, I know it looks like a wordplay, is something that pressure can bring about. In essence, one thing is to change the people in charge or their ideology, but another thing is to modify or modulate their behavior. At the end of the day, even though they are radicals, there are still people in the Iranian system that every single day, behind every decision they make, they weigh the costs and they weigh the benefits. And we have to make sure that the costs of all the nefarious things they are doing outweigh the benefits of what they are doing. This is the reason why the blockade is in place. The blockade is not a blockade against shipping. It's a blockade against Iranian shipping because they cannot be the sole beneficiaries of an illegal, unlawful, and unjustified system of tolling and control in the Straits.
How do you walk the line between targeting infrastructure in Iran that hurts the regime but doesn't hurt the civilian population that you are trying to win over?
Well, the first thing is always intent. Our desire is not to hurt the people of Iran. We have no problem with the people of Iran. Frankly, we wish the voices of the people of Iran were heard as opposed to having 30 and 40,000 of them murdered in the streets. And so our targets will always be things that support the regime directly. Obviously, there might be a road or a plant or a factory somewhere that also benefits the economy, but its primary role is to benefit the regime and its security apparatus.
I'd like to shift now to Lebanon. There are historic efforts underway to try and reach an agreement between Israel and their neighbor to the north. Where do things stand in those negotiations?
Well, it's a very unique ceasefire because Lebanon and Israel are not at war. Israel's problem is with Hezbollah. Unfortunately, Hezbollah happens to be inside of Lebanon and conducting attacks against Israel. So I think what I've perceived from this, and it's been very successful, is both the Lebanese and the Israelis seek peace.
Mr. Secretary, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
The secretary also spoke about the situation in Gaza and the need for Hamas to disarm, indicating there could be positive news in the days ahead. Brett?
As that is reported,
Trey, thank you.
Israeli troops are moving into southern Syria, and Israeli jets are flying over southern Syria, according to reports. We're in a very odd situation right now. We are. Earlier today, there was an impact in I'm just going to have this read out by British Reporter Tal. If you wouldn't mind, British Reporter Tal, would you be so kind?
Conversation. Geolocation. At least one confirmed impact of ammunition at Syed Jamaluddin Afghan University, Kunar, following reported Pakistani strikes. From Faculty of Education. 34.860108 degrees north, 71.140098 degrees east. Rooftop strike, solar array destroyed, no structural breach. From Hostel Block B. 34.858705 degrees north, 71.139301 degrees east. From the newly built hostel. 34.858107 degrees north, 71.139832 degrees east. Smoke to the north of the university campus indicates multiple impacts, likely in residential areas. The visual below shows the camera perspective indicated by arrows. Post your reply.
So, Pakistan's role as a mediator is falling apart. I'm hearing that Pakistan's role as a mediator is falling apart. I'm going to get you the latest report in Arabic. We can listen to it in Arabic, and I'll just tell you a summary in English. So I know some of you are able to speak of Arabic. Hello, Dimmu. It's so good to see you. I hope you had a good trip. Pakistan's role as a mediator is falling apart. So we're going to listen to this. Here's a summary before we listen to it. Go ahead, British reporter Tal.
Conversation. Translated from Arabic. Journalist Ahmed Qureshi. Iran is attempting to internationalize the negotiations with the United States and remove Pakistan from the mediation role due to its feeling of being subjected to significant pressure from its side and its accusation of a lack of integrity. And the disputes between Islamabad and Tehran have reached the point of Iran directing criticisms at the commander of the Iranian army. And the ability of the Pakistani military institution to communicate with the Revolutionary Guard is behind the American support for Islamabad's mediation.
Okay, let's take a listen.
يد باكستان والولايات المتحدة وتحاول.
Hold on, let me go back to the beginning.
عراقجي طار من إسلام آباد إلى موسكو. ما الذي يمكن أن يكون قد ناقشه مع الرئيس بوتين في مسألة ربما الإخفاق الذي حدث في الجولة الثانية، لأنه لم يعقد أصلا ولم تعقد هذه الجولة مع الجانب الأمريكي. ماذا يمكن أن يكون ناقش في موسكو؟
فواضح أن إيران تحاول الآن تدويل المفاوضات وتحاول إخراجها حقيقة كما يبدو من يد باكستان والولايات المتحدة، وتحاول تدويلها نوعا ما. لماذا؟ لأن ربما تشعر بأنها تعرضت لضغوط كثيرة. رأينا مؤشرات عديدة من قنوات رسمية إيرانية خلال الأيام الثلاثة الماضية، ونوعا من التأزم أيضا حتى بين إسلام آباد وبين طهران. سمعنا شكاوي من معلقين قريبين من النظام الإيراني على قنوات رسمية إيرانية تشتكي بأن الوسيط الباكستاني ليس نزيها، وأنه منحاز للطرف الأمريكي، وأنه يضغط علينا ولا يضغط على الأمريكيين وما إلى ذلك. حصلت يعني شغلة بسيطة لم ينتبه لها الإعلام الدولي كثيرا، لكنها تتعلق بالعلاقة الثنائية الباكستانية الإيرانية. قامت قنصلية، حساب رسمي على منصة إكس لقنصلية إيرانية في الهند، بنشر مقطع من قناة رسمية إيرانية تنتقد المشير عاصم منير الذي هو قائد قوات الدفاع الباكستانية والشخصية الرئيسية حقيقة المناط بها مسؤولية التواصل ما بين الطرف الأمريكي الرئيس ترامب وجدي فانس والحرس الثوري والقادة الإيرانيين. و5 ساعات حصلت ضجة في وسائل التواصل الباكستانية، ثم قاموا بمسح تلك التغريدة. فيعني هناك أمور حاصلة.
لماذا الجانب الإيراني يعني هذا السؤال طبعا كنا سنطرحه على ضيفنا من طهران. نتمنى أن يعود يعني الاتصال معه هناك، لكن كما ذكرنا لظروف الإنترنت في إيران. لماذا هناك تشكيك بشكل يعني مباشر وغير مباشر، أيضا تشكيك طبعا في الدور الباكستاني من الجانب الإيراني ومن شخصيات يعني بعضهم محسوبين على إيران بشكل رسمي. عندما نتحدث عن المتحدث باسم لجنة الأمن القومي والسياسة الخارجية إبراهيم رضائي يقول أن باكستان تفتقر إلى المصداقية اللازمة للوساطة بين طهران وواشنطن، تميل إلى مراعاة المصالح الأمريكية. لماذا هناك تشكيك في هذا الدور الباكستاني؟ وإذا كان هذا حقا لماذا قبلوا بالوساطة الباكستانية؟
النقطة الأخيرة أخ نايف، قبلوا بالوساطة الباكستانية لسبب واضح وبسيط جدا. الوساطة الآن مع النظام الإيراني هي وساطة مدعومة أمريكيا عبر باكستان. طبعا هناك تعاون مع تركيا، هناك دور تركي مصري، هناك دور سعودي، هناك تشاور دول المستعمر الخليجي، هناك كل ذلك. لكن الوساطة، قناة الوساطة هي مدعومة أمريكيا وعبر الوسيط الباكستاني. لماذا الوسيط الباكستاني؟ لأن مثلها مثل كل دول الجوار الإيراني لديهم، يعني باكستان أيضا لديها يعني تأزم في العلاقات وتوتر وكل ما ذلك، ولكن الشيء الوحيد الذي ربما يميز باكستان ربما هو أن لدى باكستان رغم كل ما حصل، وتتذكر أثناء قبل سنتين تقريبا يعني قام الحرس الثوري الإيراني بضرب باكستان بصواريخ باليستية، ردت باكستان بإرسال طائرات للداخل الإيراني وضربت. رغم كل ذلك هناك قناة تواصل. الرئيس ترامب اختار هذه قناة التواصل، قدرة المؤسسة العسكرية الباكستانية على التواصل مع الحرس الثوري، فربما يبدو أن الرئيس ترامب اختار هذه القناة. فالقناة التواصل مع النظام الإيراني والمفاوضات الآن بدعم.
So, obviously I was summarizing that for you, but this is kind of what I expected. Pakistan was looking to get an American vote in support of an IMF loan package, I think, among other things. And Pakistan was putting a lot of pressure on Iran to accept the U.S. terms. And so Iran is now looking for ways to add other mediators to the negotiations. That's a summary of that report that was delivered in Arabic. Now, there's an analysis from the Gulf International Forum that I'd like you to listen to. I think it was on Al Jazeera earlier. It's just a small clip, but I'd like to listen to it. I think it's quite interesting. So this is Dr. Dania Tafer on Al Jazeera earlier, and her perspective, which I think is important. This kind of represents the Gulf states' perspective on Iran's current posturing.
The Executive Director of the Gulf International Forum, a think tank based in Washington, D.C., and Mark Kibbitt is a retired U.S. general and a former Assistant Secretary of State for Political and Military Affairs. Welcome to both of you. Daniel, let's speak with you. Iran then proposing this deal that reopens the strait and pauses the war first while pushing nuclear talks down the road. Is that a breakthrough or a way of avoiding the hard issues?
Well, I think, there's another party to this negotiation, of course, which is the U.S. And certainly the opening of the Strait of Hormuz is important for the U.S., but the Iranian nuclear issue is a priority.
Wow, hold on. Pause.
Is willing to decouple.
Before we come back, hold on. Let's come back to Dr. Tafer in 1 second. Look at this footage that Iranian hackers the Iranian IRCG channels just published. They have people on the ground in Israel sabotaging Shin Bet vehicles and filming it. This was just uploaded to some of the Iranian channels. This is in, I think, the north. So I'm not really sure why this would still be going on. This was just uploaded. If this situation is not active. That's an IRCG agent in Israel sabotaging a Shin Bet vehicle. They just uploaded it a few minutes ago. I'm analyzing this. I'm not really sure what they're doing to it. I have no idea. I'm just trying to analyze this. It's an Iranian agent destroying a Shin Bet vehicle in Israel. Oh goodness. Are you about to... Oh, what? Oh, good. What is he about to... Oh, my goodness. He lit the whole thing on fire. Wow. So Iranian channels in the past few minutes uploaded this. It is most certainly an IRCG agent lighting a Shin Bet vehicle on fire. I thought he was just sabotaging it with some kind of bleach. No, he lights the whole thing on fire. I can't confirm this footage because it was only uploaded 5 minutes ago. But that is definitely an attack. And it's on a Shin Bet vehicle. This was just uploaded and spread on Iranian channels maybe 5 minutes ago. Oh! Yep. He most certainly set that car on fire. Yikes. No, the report is that that's a Shin Bet agent's car, and this was spread by pro-IRCG channels on, I'm sure, one of the services in the past 5 minutes. So that's an attack. I mean, that is 100% an attack. I can't confirm it. I can't geolocate that. I don't know where that is. I don't know exactly when that happened. All I can tell you, it was first uploaded probably in the last 5 minutes. Now let's go back to Dr. Tough Air, and then we'll take the top of the hour update on Al Jazeera. Thank you for your attention. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. That was pretty intense. So let's listen to this analysis just about 2 hours ago from Dr. Tough Air on Al Jazeera. Don't leave hashtag leave Nightbot alone.
Is retired U.S. general and a former assistant.
We love Nightbot.
For political
Hola, un momento, por favor. Un momento. Mi amigo Francisco. Triply Bob. Triply Bob. I don't know if that screws up the Nightbot. Leave Nightbot alone. Triply Bob. Let's hope Nightbot comes back. We can't permanently get rid of Nightbot. Nightbot has very important commands. We can't get rid of him. Okay, hola Francisco, mi amigo Francisco. Necesito un update en español. Hashtag ban Nightbot. No, do not ban Nightbot. Yeah, you can have all caps, I guess. Let's see if Nightbot can evade a ban. Oh, no. Oh, Triply Bob, by timing him out, you deleted all his messages. No, we shouldn't do that. Sorry, Triply Bob. It deletes everything he's posted. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, let's not do that. Sorry, I didn't know it does that. Yeah, let's leave Nightbot alone. Thank you. That was a nice experiment, but no, we can't be banning Nightbot. Even timing him out deletes all his prior messages, including the one I had pinned. So sorry, I didn't know it had that effect either. No timing out Nightbot. Hashtag save Nightbot. Oh, okay, yeah, no, Nightbot's back. Oh, God bless you, Nightbot. Triply Bob was being a dictator. I've saved Nightbot. Hashtag save Nightbot. Alright, now I can pin the rules again. That was hilarious. I said, no, we can't ban Nightbot. Well, no. Just because you all love Caps Lock. It really is too much shouting, though. Triply Bob's like, Nightbot has diplomatically evaded my ban. Triply Bob loves the painting command. So we need to take a compromise here. It's a love-hate relationship between Triply Bob and Nightbot. Alright. Oh my goodness. Alright, now let's go back to the Gulf Council. Let's go back to Dr. Tough Air. I really do want to hear this analysis. I think it's very erudite, informed, and relevant. Thank you for your attention.
Washington, D.C. Mark Kibbett is a retired U.S. general and a former assistant secretary of state for political and military affairs. Welcome to both of you. Let's speak with you. Iran then proposing this deal that reopens the strait and pauses the war first while pushing nuclear talks down the road. Is that a breakthrough or a way of...
Alert. IRCG-affiliated Khatim al-Aniba Emergency Headquarters spokesperson warns brace for an incoming missile attack. Now, he did that 3 hours ago, so this news is kind of outdated. But yes, I am on alert. Nightbot is a traitor. Hashtag save Nightbot. Hashtag save Nightbot.
Avoiding the hard issues.
I am on alert right now, though.
I think,
but I don't have any indication that there's going to be an attack. Well, there are multiple statements about there being an attack, but I have no indication that there's an imminent attack. I just have a bad feeling.
This negotiation, of course, which is the U.S., and certainly the opening of the Strait of Hormuz is important for the U.S., but the Iranian nuclear issue is a priority, and I just don't think that the U.S. is willing to decouple the Strait of Hormuz and the nuclear issue. Although I do think if they were to let up on the Strait of Hormuz for now and the U.S. was to unblock Iran, they can always reinstitute those blocks. The U.S. can reinstitute its blockade and Iran can disrupt the Strait of Hormuz. So that wouldn't change the scenario to that extent. But the fact is, I think before ending this war, I think that President Trump will want to have a deal for the nuclear issue, and that's not something that he would like to kick down the road.
General, do you agree with that? From a U.S. perspective, can you separate maritime access and ceasefire from the nuclear question?
I completely agree with Danya. The fact remains is we're having this war and this ceasefire because of the nuclear issue. The Iranians created a little bit of jiu-jitsu by dragging the Strait issue into this entire conflict, and the fact that that now they're going to try to trade back the Strait of Hormuz issue to delay more negotiations just doesn't make any sense, and I don't think the Americans are going to buy it.
Okay, Dania, from a Gulf perspective, does a ceasefire first, nuclear later approach make the region any sense safer? Is there any sense as far as Gulf nations are concerned?
Well, the Gulf states, I will tell you, in this order, prioritize issues. So for them, the most important thing is the opening of the Strait of Hormuz. Secondary to that is Iran's proxy activities and its ballistic missiles program or arsenal. And following all of those is the nuclear issue. So from the Gulf states' perspective, really, they have a different ordering of priority than I think what the U.S. is focusing on. And it does align with Iran's proposal of opening the Strait of Hormuz at the upfront of this negotiation.
General, Iran then offering access to the Strait of Hormuz, the U.S. maintaining pressure. Who is actually negotiating right now from a position of strength? Does Iran's ability to disrupt global shipping give it leverage that the U.S. can't easily dismiss that, can it?
Well, I think in the public domain, Iran would argue that they now are negotiating from a position of strength. They have gone to different countries. Araghchi has got positive statements out of some of the other world leaders. He now has a proposal to reopen the strait. The world is going to love this offer to reopen the strait until they start looking at the terms and conditions of reopening it. But I think for the next couple of days, there will be a rhetorical advantage on Iran announcing their peace-loving status for reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
Okay, Dania, is Iran trying to shift negotiations onto terrain where it has the advantage? I mean, maritime pressure rather than nuclear concessions?
Well, Iran believes that it has the most important leverage in this war. And strategically speaking, it gives them an upper hand, and that is the Strait of Hormuz. And so they are using it as their main area of trying to forcefully change the priorities of the negotiation table and the sequence of what will be negotiated. I just don't think that the U.S. will buy on that. I think this was more of a consumption for the international community to put the onus on the U.S. to appear that they are not cooperating when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz.
All right, I'll take your next. Well, actually, let me show you this cool historical clip. This is from the 1970s. Here's Gerald Ford welcoming Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip in the 1970s. Very cool piece of history. Just watching this for archival purposes. Almost over 50 years ago. It's wild. No way U.S. lets Iran make 5. We hit our goal. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. I have to interrupt this footage to tell you I have wonderful news. We have hit our chat goal. Oh, goodness. Water under the fridge says, no way U.S. lets Iran make 500 million a day till bombing starts again. Some of the dumbest stuff I ever heard. Hashtag GOAT Party activated. GOAT Party activated. Mimi is here. Mimi, it's time for a GOAT Party. Water under the fridge has unlocked a GOAT Party, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yes, we have hit our chat goal. It is time for a GOAT Party. Now, you may be saying, what's a GOAT Party? Well, you know what's about to happen. First of all, I'm going to get the goat video. Second of all, I'm gonna do this. Okay, we're gonna do an emoji party for Mimi. Okay, so as I do this, you all can have a fun time. All right. The Speaker has called for a chat reset. You are thus commanded to present to this honorable house your best emojis, including but not limited to sheep, goat, camel, cat, dog, and other related animal emojis. Now, if you are a member of Towel Channel, you might know we have penguin emojis. Chat Mom Lynn loves penguin emojis. And during this time, I will play you a quick goat video. It's only about a minute. We unlock it when we do when we hit the chat goal. If you've never been around for these, it's really fun. It's a nice few minutes off. It only lasts about 2 minutes. And since we're monitoring with a bit of an intense passion tonight, I think it will be fun. I will play goat videos. Oh, and by the way, God bless you, Water Under the Fridge, and everyone else who helped us meet our chat goal, and also have a dance party. So this dance party is just for 1 to 2 minutes. It's in honor of the wonderful Water Under the Fridge and everyone else who helped us meet our chat goal. Hashtag support Towel Channel. This is an independently run news service. It's just me. I'm one man. I try to monitor alerts for you. I keep you updated. And once we hit our chat goal, you get to post emojis, and I'll play a goat video for you. It's great. I mean, who doesn't like goat videos? I mean, goat videos are just great. Everybody likes goat videos. Hashtag save the goats. But yes, you are free to post goat emojis. You can post unlimited emojis during this video. Mimi loves the emojis, and I'll play a ridiculous song that'll make you dance, okay? It's only 2 minutes, so you get 2 minutes of decompression before I have to go back to hard news. Here's the goats. Everyone loves the goats. Now you get a song, because we unlocked the song. It's 2 minutes, all right? You get a 2-minute song, so shake it out. Get all your nervous anxiety, pensive apprehension out. Whatever you may have been feeling about the day, I have a song for you. Yes, it is that song. Let's do it. Not that song. It's the Boom 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 song. Let's go. 2 minutes. Let it all out.
Just come along, baby, take my hand. I'll be your lover tonight.
I miss all the emojis. I'm just gonna post a lot of them. There's nothing you can do about it. You may as well just join in. Oh, I love it, Joyce. About time. I love those emojis. I love goats. There we go. I love it. Hi, Moonstar. I mean, how can you not want to post emojis to this? Those are goats. Mimi, look at the goats. Everyone loves the goats. Hi, Penny. Yeah, this is called a dance party. Hi, Chris. How are you, my friend from Greece? God bless the people of Greece. Yeah, it doesn't matter how much tension there is, you can dance to this song. And it's goats. Who doesn't like goats? Best way to decompress.
Let's have some fun.
Everyone likes the goats. Mimi loves the goats. I mean, seriously, even the goats are dancing. We have dancing goats, ladies and gentlemen. You know, if we played this song for the goats, they would dance. You know they would. The goats love dancing. They're dancing goats. Hashtag save the goats. Good job, everyone. That was a great reset. All right, you all earned that. When we hit our chat goal, you get a dance party. You get to watch the goats. Everyone loves the goats. Now, those goats were last seen being displaced from southern Lebanon on March 9th, 2026, going up through Beirut. Now, Mimi, who is in the chat, she has a baby goat named Ellie. She meets all these friends who have all these goats. Mimi makes sure that we keep an eye on those goats. We don't know where that herd of goats went. They could be in the north of Lebanon. They could be in the south of Lebanon. Maybe they're like in danger right now. Hashtag save the goats. We're going to build them goat bunkers. We got all sorts of plans. Hashtag save the goats. So anyway, thank you all for participating. Thank you for helping us reach our chat goal. God bless all of you. If you want to support this independent news network and Towel and keep me alive and all that good stuff, there's the Cash App, # Grant Smith Ellis. There's a Venmo at Grant-E1. There's a PayPal, paypal.me/Grant Ellis. All of your support keeps Towel alive, helps me pay for translations. Do you know that, like, I have to pay like $1.20 for every minute of translation, closer to every 3 minutes of translation, because I get a package deal now. But the point is, I pay for the captions, I pay for the streaming software, I pay for the space. I don't have a lot of space left on my computer. I never got my coffee maker. I think someone just ordered and never sent it. Hilarious. I'm still going to get a coffee maker, probably tomorrow. I have a lot of things I got to get done. My point is, if you want to help Tal, that would be great. But, you know, I haven't had emergencies in a while. I'm so proud of myself. God bless all of you for helping me be a little Tal. It's going to be a great year. I have faith. No matter what happens out there in the world, we will manage to monitor it together, pray for peace, and also save the goats. Now, our goat-based bunker plan, I'm not really sure about the feasibility of building safety bunkers for goats, but I'm going to have Mimi study it. She's an expert in goats.
During the Security Council meeting, we heard many appeals for de-escalation and for reopening the Strait of Hormuz, where thousands of cargo ships remain stranded and 20,000 or so maritime workers remain stranded as well. We heard from many briefers, including the Secretary General Antonio Guterres himself, focused on the impact these shipping disruptions are having on the world's most vulnerable countries and people, with 20% of oil and natural gas coming through the strait. Bahrain called this meeting, backed by dozens of countries suffering from higher fuel prices as a result of the blockade, describing the closure of the strait as a violation of international law. They called for an end to attacks on ships and an end to blocking Iranian ports. The U.S. and Iranian ambassadors had this to say.
The United States is acting like pirates and terrorists, targeting commercial vessels through coercion and intimidation, terrorizing the crew, unlawfully seizing ships and taking crew members hostage. But no one from those who have expressed their concerns for international navigation dares to refer to or condemn this terrorist act at today's meeting.
The United Nations was built for times like this. We have been here before. Colleagues, now is not the time for simple words. Now is the time to act.
No action was taken by the Security Council. However, a past resolution that called for reopening.
So I figured that they didn't actually take a vote at the end of the meeting. All right, let's take a listen now to more with the U.S. Secretary of State talking
Secretary
to Trey
of State Marco
Yates.
Rubio says the Strait of Hormuz is the equivalent of an economic nuclear weapon. Rubio talked exclusively with Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yates today about the latest developments in the Iran conflict. Trey joins us now. Good evening, Trey.
Brett, good evening. We sat down today with Secretary of State Marco Rubio for a wide-ranging discussion on the situation in the Middle East and the possibility of a deal with Iran.
It's great to see you here, not on a balcony with a vest on.
Absolutely. Great to see you. What do you see as the main roadblock to an agreement with the Iranian government?
Well, other than the fact that the country's run by radical Shia clerics, that's a pretty big impediment. The other is that they're deeply fractured internally. And I think that's always been the case, but I think it's far more pronounced now. The best way to understand Iran is you have a political class. Now, I think, look, people talk about moderates and hardliners. They're all hardliners in Iran. But there are hardliners who understand they have to run a country and an economy, and there are hardliners that are completely motivated by theology.
We heard some of this
hardliners that are
earlier.
motivated by theology are not just the IRGC officials, but obviously the supreme leader and the council that surrounds him.
Do you believe that Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, is alive?
Well, we have indications that he is. Obviously, they claim that he is. We don't have evidence that he's not. But I think the unresolved questions here are, does he have the same credibility as his father did? You know, we know that for many, many years, at least I know that for many years, there's been internal debates in Iran about succession and whether it should be, hereditary based. Should it be this? There are a lot that are resistant to that. Does he have the clerical credentials to actually act as supreme leader? Is he actually making the decisions, or is there somebody standing in his stead who's basically controlling 90% of it and is the one actually making decisions on his behalf? We don't know the answers to these questions.
Reports do indicate Iran has offered to open the straits, but they want to delay conversations about their nuclear program. Would this be acceptable to the Trump administration?
Well, again, I'm not going to speculate about the president's decision-making on this matter. Suffice it to say that the nuclear question is the reason why we're in this in the first place. If Iran was just a radical country run by radical people, but, it'd still be a problem. But they are revolutionary. In essence, they seek to expand and export their revolution. Not just what they do in Iran. That's why they're with Hezbollah in Lebanon. That's why they've supported Hamas. That's why they've supported the militias in Iraq. They don't just seek to dominate Iran, they seek to dominate the region. And imagine that with a nuclear weapon. Look what they've done with the Straits. Great example. The Straits is basically the equivalent of an economic nuclear weapon that they're trying to use against the world. And they're bragging about it. They're putting up billboards in Tehran bragging about how they can hold 25% or 20% of the world's energy hostage. Imagine if those same people had access to a nuclear weapon. They would hold the whole region hostage.
Do you believe the Iranians are serious about making a deal?
I think the Iranians are serious about getting themselves out of the mess that they're in. All the problems Iran had, they had riots a few months ago, and these were economic riots. All the problems that Iran had before the start of this conflict are still in place, and most of them are worse. And now they have half the missiles, none of the factories, and no navy.
If there is no deal, what comes next?
Well, again, that's the president's decision to make. I would start out by reminding everybody that the level of sanctions on Iran are extraordinary. The pressure on Iran is extraordinary, and I think more can be brought to bear.
I'm having an
intervention. In the
intervention.
aftermath of this conflict, the whole world's eyes have been opened to the threat Iran poses.
I'm having an intervention. Listen, my dear friends, I'm speaking very generally. I don't know what's been going on in chat, but I'm just going to put a firm rule. And if you think this rule applies to you, it absolutely does. I don't want to see any generalizations about men or women. All right? In particular, the latter. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see anything in particular about what I think I've heard in particular about, let me be very clear, whether consent is needed or not. I don't want to see it. I don't know who was it. I know who was engaged in it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it in the Discord. I don't want to see it in the chat. If you think this applies to you, okay, it may be the perspective you're coming from, but I'm having an intervention, all right? I don't want to see it. We can talk, all right? You're welcome to chat, but I do not want to see generalizations about, any sexes or religions or whatnot. We will be very respectful, but apparently there were some very broad generalizations being discussed earlier. I don't want to see it. I didn't see it in the live chat, but I did see some screenshots of it, and I'm uncomfortable. Thank you very much. I think it's a very simple rule, and, I think it's high time I intervene. Now, I respect cultural pluralism, okay? But at the same time, I gotta lay a baseline rule. I don't want to see generalizations like that. And I especially don't want to see, discussions about, whether, based on someone's gender, consent is required. I don't know what happened. I didn't see it, but it concerns me. Of course, consent is always required. That's why people are mad at the Epstein-Khashoggi regime, because they abuse people who can't consent. And then they took people's consent away. Hashtag bring down the Epstein-Khashoggi regime. You didn't miss anything, ALP. I was just having an intervention. I didn't actually see what comments were exchanged. I did see some screenshots. I'm just having an intervention. Hashtag towel intervention. Let's take a look now at the latest scenes from the British king arriving at the residence of the British ambassador in the U.S. That is the latest. Sorry, I muted it. My apologies. We'll go back to the Secretary of State's interview in a second. Oh, all right, here's the latest from the king. Oh, that definitely applies across spectrum, Silent Dogs. Cultures, races, religions. I just don't like to see generalizations because there's so many people who confound them. Play ball. Back to our regularly scheduled towel programming. Hashtag no kings. What happened? Where are the no kings? Listen. The no kings people have really failed us. I know people have been talking about this all day. We have a literal king of England, no less, the people that used to own us. He's in the country. Your movement is called No Kings, and you somehow screwed this up, bro. How did you screw this up? It was ready-made. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness gracious me. All right. All right. I'm just saying. All right, let's go back to Secretary of State Rubio's interview with Trey Yingst. Let me listen to we're going to pick up about 2 minutes in.
Instead, who's basically controlling 90% of it and is the one actually making decisions on his behalf. We don't know the answers to these questions.
Reports do indicate Iran has offered to open the straits, but they want to delay conversations about their nuclear program. Would this be acceptable to the Trump administration?
Well, again, I'm not going to speculate about the president's decision-making on this matter. Suffice it to say that the nuclear question is the reason why we're in this in the first place. If Iran was just a radical country run by radical people, but, you know, it'd still be a problem. But they are revolutionary. In essence, they seek to expand and export their revolution. Not just what they do in Iran. That's why they're with Hezbollah in Lebanon. That's why they've supported Hamas. That's why they've supported the militias in Iraq. They don't just seek to dominate Iran. They seek to dominate the region. And imagine that with a nuclear weapon. Look what they've done with the Straits. Great example. The Straits is basically the equivalent of an economic nuclear weapon that they're trying to use against the world. And they're bragging about it. They're putting up billboards in Tehran bragging about how they can hold 25% or 20% of the world's energy hostage. Imagine if those same people had access to a nuclear weapon. They would hold the whole region hostage.
Do you believe the Iranians are serious about making a deal?
I think the Iranians are serious about getting themselves out of the mess that they're in. All the problems Iran had, they had riots a few months ago, and these were economic riots. All the problems that Iran had before the start of this conflict are still in place, and most of them are worse. And now they have half the missiles, none of the factories, and no navy.
If there is no deal, what comes next?
Well, again, that's the president's decision to make. I would start out by reminding everybody that the level of sanctions on Iran are extraordinary. The pressure on Iran is extraordinary, and I think more can be brought to bear. But I hope that in the aftermath of this conflict, the whole world's eyes have been opened to the threat Iran poses.
I know that regime change is not a goal of the Trump administration, but do you see a scenario in which the actions of the United States and Israel lead to regime change?
Well, I think, look, regime change is something that has to happen from within. But changing the regime, I know it looks like a wordplay, is something that pressure can bring about. In essence, one thing is to change the people in charge or their ideology, but another thing is to modify or modulate their behavior. At the end of the day, even though they are radicals, there are still people in the Iranian system that every single day, behind every decision they make, they weigh the costs and they weigh the benefits. And we have to make sure that the costs of all the nefarious things they are doing outweigh the benefits of what they are doing. This is the reason why the blockade is in place. The blockade is not a blockade against shipping. It's a blockade against Iranian shipping because they cannot be the sole beneficiaries of an illegal, unlawful, and unjustified system of tolling and control in the Straits.
How do you walk the line between targeting infrastructure in Iran that hurts the regime but doesn't hurt the civilian population that you are trying to win over?
Well, the first thing is always intent. Our desire is not to hurt the people of Iran. We have no problem with the people of Iran. Frankly, we wish the voices of the people of Iran were heard, as opposed to having 30 and 40,000 of them murdered in the streets. And so our targets will always be things that support the regime directly. Obviously, there might be a road or a power plant or a factory somewhere that also benefits the economy, but its primary role is to benefit the regime and its security apparatus.
I'd like to shift now to Lebanon. There are historic efforts underway to try and reach an agreement between Israel and their neighbor to the north. Where do things stand in those negotiations?
Well, it's a very unique ceasefire because Lebanon and Israel are not at war. Israel's problem is with Hezbollah. Unfortunately, Hezbollah happens to be inside of Lebanon and conducting attacks against Israel. So I think what I've perceived from this, and it's been very successful, is both the Lebanese and the Israelis seek peace.
Mr. Secretary, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I mean, listen. I don't really understand. For the first time in 58 or 59 days, I am officially baffled. I don't understand why there were bombing raids in South Lebanon and no response. I don't understand why the negotiating positions of each of these sides, which are completely diametrically opposed, are being presented to the world as some kind of off-ramp towards a ceasefire. I don't understand. I don't understand any of it. I don't understand the air defense activity in Iran over the past 4 days. I don't understand. I'm utterly baffled. I don't understand the security alerts in anticipation of a Hezbollah attack in northern Israel causing the cancellation of public religious ceremonies. There's just a lot about this I do not understand. Thank you all, though, for complying with the rules of chat. I appreciate that. Hello, Ristala. It's so good to see you. You know what? Let's check in on the Al Jazeera top of the hour update. There have been, oddly, no bombings of any kind after 50 raids across southern Lebanon. In, I'd say, no less than 3 hours earlier, there was no response for the first time in the war. I don't even know how to analyze that. It was just an unanswered series of bombing raids. It has not happened before. I don't know if
elections were taken.
I'm going to go back about 30 minutes so we can catch the top of the hour. I don't know if it's because Hezbollah is not going to engage in an attempt to not give Bibi an opportunity to revamp the war or re-ramp up the war and save his political future. I don't have a good analysis for it. I'm baffled. This is about 30 minutes ago.
Hello everybody, I'm Rashad Salama. This is Al Jazeera coming to you live from Doha. Look at our top stories this hour.
The president's red lines with respect to Iran have been made very, very clear, not just to the American public, but also to them as well.
The Trump administration discusses a peace proposal from Iran, but it reportedly does not address the nuclear program. Fears of a return to war in Lebanon, Israel expands its attacks on the south. Hezbollah vows to retaliate.
The first count is attempted assassination of the President of the United States.
A 31-year-old California man is charged with trying to kill Donald Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And a royal reception. Britain's King Charles and Queen Camilla are at the White House for a high-stakes state visit.
Good evening for those of you just tuning in. It's coming past 7:33 p.m. Shockingly, after a wave of Israeli bombs, probably 50 different bombings hit southern Lebanon, leading to at least 4 dead and 53 injured. There was no retaliation of any kind. Slightly ominous. It is 7:33 p.m. Eastern here in Boston. It is, let's see, 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 12:30. It's 1:30 a.m. in South Africa. That would be Monday, April 27th in the U.S. It would be Tuesday, April 28th in South Africa. It's 2:30 a.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, 2:34, and it is 3:04 a.m. in Tehran, Iran. That would be Tuesday, April 28th, 2026.
Thank you for joining us. The Trump administration has confirmed it's reviewing an Iranian proposal aimed at ending the war. The plan would set aside discussion of Tehran's nuclear program until the conflict with the U.S. and Israel is ended and the deadlock over shipping through the Strait of Hormuz is resolved. The White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, says while it's being considered, Washington's core conditions haven't changed.
I will confirm the president has met with his national security team this morning. The meeting may be ongoing, maybe not. I don't want to speak affirmatively because I was prepping to come out here, but the proposal was being discussed. I don't want to get ahead of the president or his national security team. What I will reiterate is that the president's red lines with respect to Iran have been made very, very clear, not just to the American public, but also to them as well.
Meanwhile, Iran's foreign minister says Tehran is considering a request from the US to restart talks. Abbas Araghchi made the comments on social media after meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin in St. Petersburg. He says negotiations have stalled because of what he called Washington's destructive habits and changing demands. Putin also used the meeting to signal Russia's support for efforts to restore stability in the Middle East. Amigdad Al-Ruhaid is live in Tehran, but first of all, let's speak to Mike Hanna at the White House. Now, Mike, Donald Trump met with the national security team. Any word on what was actually talked about?
No, we haven't had any formal readout of that statement or the meeting, and a lid has been declared here at the White House, which means there will not be any information, formal information about the meeting this evening. Now, we heard the press secretary refer to and confirm the fact that President Trump was discussing the latest Iranian proposal with his national security team. Now, it is his security team and not his National Security Council. And this is a very important difference because the NSC has statutory membership. Certain people have to be there, such as the Secretary of Defense, such as the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Now, we do not know who was on President Trump's national security team that he had discussions with in the course of the morning. There's been no information given out by the White House. What we did hear from the press secretary is that she doesn't want to get ahead of whatever statement the president might decide to put out on these discussions at some time in the day. But as yet, we have heard nothing from the president or indeed from any other White House official.
Mike, thank you very much indeed. Mike Hanna there joining us.
Okay. Let's listen to the update
Live
from Tehran.
The White.
What we're going to do is listen to the update from Tehran, and then I may use alerts. I may actually leave the alerts on. I don't have enough information to tell you how this is all going to unfold. It could go any which way at any time. It's a powder keg. And if there were a viable off-ramp, I'd be telling you about it. What really concerns me is there are reports that Iran's Supreme National Council has been saying that there's potential for domestic unrest. It's a very dangerous situation. I wish I had more erudite analysis than that, but the best I can give you. Yeah, I saw that. The only thing that went up on some of the IRCG channels was earlier, maybe 40 minutes ago, a video of an IRCG affiliated agent burning a Shin Bet agent's car somewhere in Israel. But yes, it is certainly... It is the most confounding war, I think. Previous wars in the region, the 12-day war between Iran, Israel, and the U.S. in June of 2025, the conflict, the war between Israel and Palestine in Gaza in 2023 and 2024, the war between Hezbollah and Israel in 2023 and 2024, they've all had a relatively structured nuclei, a very defined set of parameters, what they call rules of engagement. I think that's how I want to analyze this. So it's a colloquialism to say rules of engagement because it has a formal military application. But what makes this so different than all of those conflicts, at least dating back to 2023, is there are no formal rules of engagement. It's like anyone could just decide to start dropping bombs at any time. And it makes it very odd. It feels like the whole point of a lot of this negotiation is just to try to manipulate the markets on both sides for various economic purposes. And it feels like we're approaching a situation where there's no viable off-ramp. You can't blockade Iran to the point where they only have 6 to 8 weeks like of domestic supplies and are risking like unemployment levels spiking and domestic catastrophe. Yeah, it's like that's what is so agonizingly frustrating. Because there's no rules of engagement, no one knows where this is going to go. It could spiral out of control. It's a serious powder keg. And it feels like all of these different sides have kind of put themselves into this mutual détente where they're kind of unwilling to attack each other. And that has caused the peace. It's like everyone's trying to fit through the door at the same time. It's like that episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns is learning about the diseases he has. And they're all going through the door at the same time. And if just like one ball falls out of the door in the wrong way, everything will collapse. It is the strangest sort of like détente I've ever seen. And I think it's as frustrating as it is as an analyst, it must be even more agonizing for the people in southern Lebanon, for the people in Israel, for the people in Iran, in Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, etc., who have no idea if just at like a moment's notice. It's almost worse than when you're in it with the cycles of sirens, because at least you have some idea that you know to be ready. But they just live constantly at any moment under this threat that it could all just go to hell. How are you supposed to live your life like that? It's almost worse. It's almost worse in some ways than what it was before. And it doesn't feel like peace. It feels like a very tenuous and impossible to solve puzzle where neither side is ever going to back down.
House. Al-Miqdad al-Ruhayd is live for us in Tehran. Now, Iran's foreign minister has posted that they're looking into requests from...
The situation is untenable. I pray that all of these parties find a way to discuss this, but they can't continue on this path. It's completely untenable. There are people being bombed, and when that happens with impunity, it will continue, and thus there's no ceasefire, and thus this is all staged. It's all words to justify restocking. It's just very ominous and and especially because the leadership, especially in America, is it could just go on a whim. Mr. President doesn't really have any cogency to his strategy. It's just kind of like what he's feeling that day and what he's upset about. Oh, hello! Welcome back, Kara. It's good to see you. Chinatown 9K, hashtag welcome back. Hi, Kara. Good to see you. Well, alright, hold on. Still be what? I don't know what that word is, but Son, I think sometimes those words have different meanings. I don't know what that word means. But yeah, like the R word, like stuff like that. Maybe casual, maybe more in the UK, but it's kind of more of like a slur over here.
Donald Trump for negotiations. What more can you tell us?
I don't know if that's what you were saying there, though. I don't know what that word means.
Yes, indeed. It seems like a result from this regional tour, led by top diplomat Abbas Araqli in the region, and it's an important shift in tone from the United States that they are requesting to moving forward with the negotiation. Now Iran says we are reviewing, not just we are not responding yet. We are reviewing the request. We are trying to propose our ideas and collect our things to move forward. And if we step back to look at the main issue issue of this deadlock and these obstacles, we will see that the nuclear file is one of the main issues here. Iranian officials saying that we're proposing a new strategy and a new deal to deal with all things. First of all, we need an end to this war, and to end this war, they are meaning something specifically, ending it with a guarantee that will not gonna be attacked again by the United States. We know that the United States attacked Iran 2 times in the middle of negotiations. So this is what make trust issues comes when it comes to negotiation and when it comes to ending the war. So right now they are proposing that ending the war first, then give us guarantees, building trust, and then we can talk later about other issues like nuclear file. And in return also we can reopen the Strait of Hormuz, we can deal with the sovereignty in the Strait of Hormuz and the naval blockade over the Iranian port. So the main issues is clear that there is a mistrust between the United States and Iran's right now proposing a new deal, a new strategy, a new approach to move forward with this diplomacy, with this deadlock. So this is the clear message from Iran here, and definitely next hours will reveal what is come next.
Migdad, he's been to Pakistan, he's been to Oman, then back to Pakistan, and now he's in Russia. Where will Abbas Araghchi go next, and what might that tell us?
That tell us that Iran that Iran conveying their message that they are present. They are trying to say that we are present here in the region. We are coordinating our efforts with our partners, with our traditional mediators. We know that Oman is a traditional mediator for this issue, and also might come back home in the next hours. He's supposed to come to Tehran to convey all that gathered messages from regional partners, from regional neighbors, and also might come back to Islamabad. No one knows, because the uncertainty is shaping the air here in Iran, and the whole message, the broader message from here is that they are open to negotiate. They are sending their signals. They are messaging, keeping the ongoing channels between the United States and Iran, but the next step is uncertain.
Al-Migdad, thank you so much for joining us. Al-Migdad Ruhaid, live for us.
Okay, going over to Mexico now, which will be our last update, because until there is a response, I really don't know what to tell you. It's too ominous for me to sit here and analyze what could happen. I will just wake up and begin my coverage when it starts. It really is. It's a very unsettling feeling to report the news without knowing where things are going to go. I'm going to show you now the latest. The U.S. authorities in Mexico have issued a number of warnings because of blockades and fires being set by the various, I think it's Jalisco New Generation Cartel. So it has to do with the arrest of a major gang leader, I think El Dinero, according to the reports from local media, and in turn this business has been burned down. Okay, it was a store in Mexico, and you can see it burning. A number of fires are being set across Mexico as a result of the arrest of a gang leader. I mean, in multiple different towns. You can see they have started burning down a bunch of stores. This is the latest from Mexico. I do not mind continuing to update you, although I must tell you, if you are just tuning in, there have been a number of bombing raids in South Lebanon, all of which went completely unanswered for the first time during this 59-day conflict by Hezbollah. Although there were threats of a response, there were none. Taking you earlier to Mali, this was, I'd say, probably within the last 8 hours, where a number of government soldiers have surrendered in what has been a now 2-day ongoing conflict, which is really like a Russian and Mali government-aligned fight against a number of insurgent groups. So here are government troops surrendering earlier today in Mali.
قاتلوهم يعذبهم الله بأيديكم ويخزيهم وينصركم عليهم ويشفي صدور قوم مؤمنين الله أكبر الله أكبر الله سبحانه وتعالى.
God bless you, Mimi. I agree. Oh, I think that's the truth.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله. الحمد لله الله أكبر.
Pretty rare footage actually out of Mali.
الله أكبر. قاتلهم يعذبهم الله بأيديكم ويخزيهم.
الحمد لله والعزة لله والعزة لله
ولله العزة ولرسوله
والعزة لله والعزة لله.
اللهم أعز الإسلام.
إن وعد الله حق إن وعد الله حق إن وعد الله حق.
مالك الطاغوت اللي أنكر بكم من إن شاء الله عندكم فتوى ما شاء الله.
نعم
الله
نعم.
أكبر ولله العزة
نعم.
ولرسوله وللمؤمنين ولكن
نعم.
المنافقين لا يعلمون. الحمد لله رب العالمين.
نعم زد 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 زد
ما شاء
قليلا.
الله ني عفلن ني الطاغوت اللي أنكر بكم من إن شاء الله أمريكم إن شاء الله.
إن شاء الله
إن
تعالى.
شاء الله تعالى ني على كابوي إن شاء الله أمريكا نيفو أمريكا مساس من كذا.
ثاني.
حجم كذا ني أدو.
Pretty rare footage from on the ground in Mali. Here was the thought process from the Secretary of State of the U.S. regarding the targeting of Iranian
How
infrastructure.
do you walk the line between targeting infrastructure in Iran that hurts the regime but doesn't hurt the civilian population that you are trying to win over?
Well, the first thing is always intent. Our desire is not to hurt the people of Iran. We have no problem with the people of Iran. Frankly, we wish the voices of the people of Iran were heard, as opposed to having 30 and 40,000 of them murdered in the streets. And so our targets will always be things that support the regime directly. Obviously, there might be a road or a power plant or a factory somewhere that also benefits the economy, but its primary role is to benefit the regime and its security apparatus.
That was the latest from the U.S. Secretary of State. The king, for his part, is at the British Embassy. Okay. As of now, there were no retaliatory bombings by Hezbollah after the latest round of Israeli strikes. It is coming up on the witching hour, which is 3 a.m. So I will at least take us through the top of the hour, and I will let you know how this plays out. I've given you updates from Mexico, from southern Lebanon, from the White House, from the British ambassador. All right, let's take a listen. Let's take a look at this. This was a report that I mentioned earlier. I cannot confirm it, but let's take a listen. Go ahead, British reporter Tal.
And the ability. Conversation. Iran's Supreme National Security Council, led by Mohammad Bagher Zolkadar, reportedly warned that anti-regime protests could resume within days as the economy deteriorates. Officials said economic pressure is the main trigger. The assessment claimed Iran may only withstand another 6 to 8 weeks of a U.S. naval blockade. By the end of spring, up to 2 million private sector jobs could be lost. Security officials reportedly concluded unrest is inevitable, with only the timing uncertain.
Which again is another big variable in all of this. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. We're going to take this up to 8 p.m. I'm going to do the top of the hour update here from Boston, which will be 2 a.m. in South Africa. So that today would be Monday, April 27, 2026 in the U.S. It is already Tuesday, April 28, 2026 in South Africa. It is where it is coming up on 2 a.m. It is coming up on 3 a.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, and it's coming up on 3:30 a.m. in Tehran, Iran. I want to take you through the top of the hour, what we call the witching hour, 3 a.m. in Israel. There has been a surprising, if not ominous, silence. I need to be direct. The silence is not a positive here, in my opinion. It is a harbinger of something very concerning to come. What that is, I do not know. I just know that this is not, it's a break in the pattern, and I watch for patterns. And this is a break in the pattern that feels exceptionally abnormal. I'll show you this footage, by the way, from Gerald Ford welcoming Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip all the way back in 1976. I think it's a great piece of history. I just wanted, we didn't get to see it earlier because a bombing happened, but I just wanted to show it in full again. Very cool. Over 50 years ago. Very nice historical footage. I'm sure a lot of you who remember Queen Elizabeth and remember the U.S. bicentennial will remember this 1974 footage. Might have been 75 or 76. Oh, 76 actually, so exactly on the 200-year anniversary of America's founding. Hello, Ifti Ahmad. It's so good to see you, my dear friend. There have been a number of bombing raids in Lebanon tonight, none of which were responded to by Hezbollah for the first time during the war. It has created an incredibly ominous atmosphere while we review some historical footage. Let's take a listen now to the Iranian ambassador to the UN speaking just earlier today. All right, this was the Iranian ambassador to the UN.
Iran's lawful measures aim to strike an appropriate balance between security interests of the coastal state and the continued safe conduct of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz in a highly volatile environment. These practical measures will be carefully examined in light of evolving circumstances. Iran is not a party to the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. Accordingly, it is not bound by its treaty-based provisions except to the extent that specific rules reflected therein are universally recognized as customary international law. It is regrettable that some members, while asserting the navigational rights must not be threatened, deliberately ignore the United States imposition of a so-called maritime blockade that threatened international navigation. They have once again exposed their double standards. The concerns for maritime safety and freedom of navigation is neither genuine nor consistent with their action and positions.
Okay, so now I'll show you the latest from the British Foreign Secretary. Just a small clip from Yvette Cooper's interview tonight with Jake Tapper.
I don't think I'm breaking any news to you when I tell you that there are senior political figures in the UK who didn't think the King should go through with this visit for any number of reasons, including the personal insults that the president has been throwing at the prime minister. You asked the King to not heed that advice. You wanted him to come. Why?
Yeah, look, this is really important to His Majesty the King, but it's really important to the UK. It's really important, I think, for our relationship, the UK-US relationship. We're here because this is the 250th anniversary of US independence, and it is, I think, really symbolic of the strength of our relationship through very, very many generations that we want in the UK to celebrate a 250th anniversary of what was effectively our defeat. But we still think this is something that is a celebration.
Is it weird at all that you're celebrating 250 years since we beat you?
Yeah, I know, exactly. But that in itself, I think really shows the strength and the richness of the US-UK relationship that goes back through so many generations. And, you know, whether it's on trade, on security, but also those people-to-people links.
Okay. That was a very interesting response. She dodged that completely. to Mexico now, where Mexican authorities have released footage from the operation that led to the arrest of Jalisco New Generation cartel leader El Jaradino in Nayarit, which caused the cartel to start burning down that area of Mexico. So let's take a look now at the latest from the Mexican military. Their operation that led to the capture of the leader of the CJNG cartel. Wow, they actually, I didn't realize they got the leader of the CJNG cartel. Here you go. Well, are those people climbing out of, like, tunnel? What? Are they in tunnels under the ground? Well, you're looking at the footage released from the Mexican military of their operation to capture the leader of the CNJG cartel earlier today. It has caused there to be massive fires burning throughout Mexico. The cartel is a little displeased their leader was arrested. Storm drain. Well, that guy got caught. I think that's him, actually. That is the leader of the CNJG cartel. The Mexican military released this. I'll show you more footage now. You can see it's released by the Mexican military. This was scenes from the arrest of the leader of the CJNG cartel. They got him in a storm drain. Let's take the top of the hour update on Al Jazeera, and then I will rest until there is an alert. I know one is coming. I know one is coming. It's a question of if, not when. When, not if. Before we do that, though, let's go to the latest from Russia, where a Ukrainian drone strike on a nuclear power station in Zaporizhzhia has left one person dead.
قتل موظف في محطة زابوروجيا النووية في هجوم بمسيرة أوكرانية وفق ما أفادت وسائل إعلام روسية. وقال مسؤولون روس إن سائقا قتل بمسيرة للقوات المسلحة الأوكرانية في ورشة النقل التابعة للمحطة النووية. واعتبر المسؤولون الروس أن الهجوم على المحطة النووية لا يهدد الأفراد فقط بل هو تهديد للأمن الوطني أيضا. وفي سياق متصل أكدت الوكالة الدولية للطاقة الذرية أن الضربات على محطات الطاقة النووية أو بالقرب منها قد تعرض السلامة النووية للخطر، مضيفة أنها سترسل فرقة للتحقيق في الحال.
Speaking of Ukraine, Ukraine has launched another successful drone attack on Tupas in the last 4 minutes. I'll show you those images now. This is Tupas reigniting fires at a oil refinery. The latest images out of Russia tonight, where Ukraine has struck again with its drones. They have kept fires burning at the 4 of the 5 largest Russian oil refineries for at least the past 6 days. I'm going to show you the latest top of the hour update from Al Jazeera, and it's almost shocking to me that there were so many bombing raids in South Lebanon earlier tonight, and not 8. Yes, this is from Tupas, Russia. This is a Ukrainian drone strike in the last probably 5 to 10 minutes, maybe the last 15, reigniting fires at the Tupas oil refinery. You can find more excellent reporting from Jake Bro on this. If you follow the Ukraine-Russia war, I highly recommend following Jake Bro's channel. Definitely where I get a majority of my updates when monitoring for developments in Ukraine related to the Russian war. I want to take the top of the hour update, but I am almost astonished that there was not a single retaliatory attack for the massive wave of bombings. It left at least 4 people dead. 1 person dead, and it actually started as 1 person dead, 3 people injured, and the figure then rose to 4 dead and 53 injured, including 1 woman and 3 children injured. 1 woman dead, 3 children injured. I don't know the status of the other 3 people dead or the injured people. And that was across southern Lebanon about 4 hours ago. I stayed here. I monitored. And for the first time during this war, I can say to you, there was no response. How do I know? I monitored for 4 hours. Something is off. It's a break in the pattern. Is the goal to just not respond when Israel does bombings and then tie Bibi's hand? Perhaps. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Let's take the top of the... I don't think there's anything to update on, though. I think I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it until there's an alert. Because that's the best thing to do. Because if it does just start, I should get some sleep first. Alright, that's the plan. We're calling it. Alright, I'm going to restart probably sometime tomorrow morning. Or if there's any alerts at all. It's the best way for me to refresh myself, and I can just start another stream if there are any alerts. Otherwise, you'll see me tomorrow in the morning. We're going to do Tippecanoe and Tyler too, don't worry. We got to do Tippecanoe. So, this is a public information service. Thank you all for support. No, don't worry, Reaper. I have no doubt it's a question of when we are going to be back, not if. But you want me fully rested, in particular if there is a wave of attacks. It's too ominous. It really is. I have a very ominous feeling. It feels like there's a coordinated wave. And that's the best way. I also was up at like 5:30 this morning. I had a very long morning. I had to go to the pharmacist because I have a surgery. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering why, along with the other pensiveness, why am I so concerned this week? I have a surgery. I have a dental surgery on Wednesday that I'm not exactly thrilled about. So I'm going to be a little bit, like, myself overwhelmed heading into that. So let's let Towel continue to rest. And if things do go absolutely intense, I will be here and we will return. But we got to do Tippecanoe and Tyler too, all right? Because we do that at the end of every stream, and it's probably Triple Bob's favorite part of the day. Hello, Diane. Hello, Lame Matrix and Doxed and Tiffany Bob. It's so good to see you. Nobody likes us, Lion. Hashtag no baiting. Mimi, you're so wonderful. Mimi says, amen. Rest for Grant and a deep sleep after his long visit with Nikki. Yes, and I did get to hang out with Towel Girlfriend today. It was great. I needed that during my long day. I had to do so many errands. It was a tough day for Towel. But yes, it's mostly because I have to get ready for my surgery on Wednesday. I think a lot of you know earlier in the month, I had this issue with my tooth. It was worse than I thought. But the positive news is I'm so glad it's a pretty serious procedure. It got approved. It's wonderful news. That was not an alert, by the way. That was just a beep on my phone. But I am thrilled. I'm thrilled that my procedure got approved. So I'm not going to lose the tooth. I was at risk of losing the tooth. I was so worried. Then I wouldn't have been able to travel and see Nikki and Towel Girlfriend. You know, well, Nikki is Towel Girlfriend. I would have been so sad. Oh, also, at some point next month, I don't know, when my passport comes in, I probably will need some help. I know a lot of you have reached out because you're excited for me and Nikki to start our travels together. We're going to do travel vlogs and things. I'll tell you next month how everything goes, but I think the plan is mid-May. Either I'm going to see her or she's going to come to me. It's going to take a little work. It's easier for me to go see her, but I want to bring her here. We got to talk. We're going to figure it out. Then we're going to travel vlog. I know you're going to love it. All right. Thanks for watching Towel News. If you see any alerts pop up, expect a stream to start right after they do. I'm monitoring very closely, but I do need to rest, especially because I was up at 5:30 this morning. I had a very long day. I was wondering why I got tired so quickly. You can hear it in my voice. And the pollen in the air doesn't help. And the surgery. But I should stop complaining because, frankly, the fact that there is somehow not bombs dropping. I'm both saddened that there was a massive bombing wave earlier in southern Lebanon, but also praying that the geopolitical plan is to isolate Bibi by not taking his bait and not bombing back. I think that's overly optimistic, but I'm with Mimi here. Praying for the best is always the best. Oh, God bless you, G Reaper. Oh, Kara Nikki is Towel Girlfriend. She's wonderful. You'll get to meet her. She's awesome. We're going to do travel vlogs. Oh, it was very close, Kara. It's with 2 Ks and an I. She comes in chat sometimes. She's great. She sings, and she's so beautiful and wonderful. She just makes my heart radiate joy. I never thought I would meet my person. Because, see, I mean, I'm just a smart person, I guess. And so I'm a little unique because I like information. I'm just a voracious consumer of information. And I'm also, on the spectrum. So I need somebody who understands me. And I never thought, after 37 years on this planet, I had just given up. Never thought I would find my person. I definitely found my person. I'm so excited. She's so wonderful. She's so great. She just makes my heart radiate joy all day. Even when things are really hard, it radiates joy. So I am just very blessed, and I thank God every day that I wake up that I have met her. She's just so wonderful. Oh, I can't wait for you all to meet her. We're going to do travel vlogs, so just a preview. We have a plan, all right? Turns out neither of us had a passport, but we're working on it, okay? All right, we got all the documents on the way. We're going to fill out the forms, and we're going to do it. We're going to make it happen. Hashtag, I'm a travel towel. Oh, that's what we'll call the series. Travels with Towel. Oh, it's such a good idea. Hashtag travel and towel. Oh, God bless you. Mimi says Nikki is lucky to have you in her life, and you are lucky to have Nikki. It's true. She's so wonderful. Oh, and she sings, and she's so smart. And it's a form of intelligence that is just so wonderful because it's so adaptive, and it's just great. I can't sing her praises enough. If she were here, she'd be all blushing. But I'm going to tell him anyway. You wonderful towel girlfriend. Hashtag traveling towels. Yes, it's going to be great. Yes, guest towels. We're going to have all sorts of guest towels. It's going to be great. I'm going to meet so many of you. I can't wait. I don't know exactly when we're going to start it. It's going to take a decent amount of planning, but we're going to do it, and we're just going to have a good time. All right. I'm so excited for all of you, and for me, and also for Nikki. She's so smart and wonderful. All right, let me do Tippecanoe and Tyler too. This is where we list the presidents to check my mental acuity at the end of a long stream. This is a public information service. At least I try to make it one. I try to model it after that. It's designed to educate, inform, and entertain. I use a little bit of 20% entertainment as a buffer while you're consuming tough imagery in order to educate and inform, thus engendering cogent public discourse and warding off the usurpation of our forms of government worldwide. So, President Washington, President Adams, President Jefferson, President Madison. Skip to 8, which is Van Buren. 13 is Andrew Jackson during the bank wars in the 1830s. Then we do Tippecanoe and Tyler too. So it's Polk, Taylor, Pierce, Buchanan, Lincoln, Johnson, Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, Garfield, Chester A. Arthur, Cleveland, Harrison, Cleveland, McKinley, Teddy Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Harding, Coolidge, Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush 1, Clinton, Bush 2, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. How about them apples? I can't do it in a single breath, but my word, I'm getting close. I've been practicing. It just starts flowing there. Mimi, I'm getting really good at that. I can just cycle through them. And it's not root memorization either. I'm actually memorizing those things. All right. Yes, Diane, isn't it getting fun? You've all watched me learn how to do that faster and faster. Tiffany Bob, we had a wonderful night. God bless you, my dear friend. Kara, it was great to see you. I hope you have a wonderful night. Now, where is our friend? Listen, Francine loves her friend. He's making his appearance. He only comes out at the end of stream. He's pleased that no bombs dropped. Well, he's not pleased with the IDF for dropping bombs, but he's pleased that no bombs dropped in response. This is Pete Bunny Towel. He's the channel mascot. His friend Francine loves to see Pete Bunny Towel. Hi, Marcia. Oh, don't you worry at all. I'm so glad that you got to watch Melanie Little. She's been doing a really good job lately, and I'm so glad that she's covering the parental court filings. I saw that Kelsey got to see her baby on April 25th. Pete Bunny Towel. Now, Peep didn't actually. I don't think Peep knows anything about that case. He's mostly, an international war towel now. But I told him a little bit about the Kelsey case because I felt bad that they took her baby and then shot her and then charged her, then put her in jail, and then she was acquitted. So I told Peep a little bit about it. Anyway, Peep. Kelsey got to see her baby. Peep is thrilled. Marcia, Peep is thrilled. He heard that Kelsey got to see her baby on April 25th. I saw that on social media. I didn't tell Peep Bunny Towel about it. I did now. He's thrilled. Anyway, I'm sorry to hear about that ongoing family court fight between Kelsey and her former partner. But I do believe that justice will be done in the end. And Peep Bunny Towel, as strange as this is, he is fully behind Kelsey getting her baby back. He's a stuffed Peep Bunny Towel. All right? I also heard there was a good fundraiser for Kelsey that raised a decent amount of money. Good for them. I did cover that case from the beginning. I actually kind of knew something was up with the bail revocation. At first, I thought it was about Bradel. It was not about Bradel. There's some deep political connections there. I'm sure more and more of it will come out, especially, I think Kelsey has also announced that she put in her, what is it called? You have to put in some letter of claim, Bradel said. I don't remember the formal term for it, but you have to put in some letter of claim. And Kelsey apparently already did this and is intending to sue over. Kelsey Fitzsimmons was a cop in North Andover, Massachusetts. There's a really weird situation happened where her colleagues served a restraining order on her. She had her gun, they shot her, they arrested her, they took her baby away, and then somebody her former partner on camera came into her house with 3 guys while she was in jail, took a computer over to his parents' house according to what evidence that came out in the trial. And I'm reporting on all of this from the beginning, and the more I learned about this case, you come to find out the Kelsey's former partner's parents are involved allegedly or apparently with this community that's very into using the courts to take people's autonomy. Apparently it's a rabbit hole. It's worth looking into. There's good reporting out there about the case, and Melanie Little's been following it, so shout out to attorney Melanie Little and my dear friend Marcia. You are so wonderful. Thank you for that update, my friend. As for me, I'll be back. I'm going to make this an if-then statement. If bombs fall, I will return. If sirens or alarms go off in Israel, I will return, because that means something has happened. That's bad. Or I'll be with you tomorrow morning, maybe tomorrow afternoon, depending on the timing. I have to go to, I have 1 or 2 errands to do, but otherwise I will plan to be with you for the next installment of the U.S.-Iran war series, which hopefully will just be, no bombs falling. It's very ominous, as Mimi and I were talking earlier, but it's really preferable, frankly. If they can cut Bibi off by just not bombing in response, it doesn't really give him much of an option to escalate. It's actually kind of genius. I think I'm being very overly optimistic, but I've kind of reasoned myself through this, and I'm well, if you just don't bomb back when he bombs, he doesn't have an excuse to keep bombing. The concern there is that Bibi would just be well, I'm going to bomb anyway. But then the more he bombs without Hezbollah ever responding, the more he looks like a monster. So it is kind of genius. I thought of it from the perspective first of pride. Hezbollah won't let you just kill civilians in Lebanon and get away with it. But then pride cometh before the fall, right? So that's not necessarily the best tactical option. What is a good tactical option is to just not bomb back. And I don't say that because I'm biased. I say it because then if Bibi bombs again tomorrow, what is he supposed to say? Hezbollah never bombed back? You just bombed again. What was the threat? They didn't even retaliate after your last round of bombings. But the risk there is that Bibi doesn't care. He wants to turn South Lebanon into Gaza. So it's a zero-sum game for him. You're really banking on geopolitically isolating him if you don't respond. It's a gamble. It's very advanced tactics. It could work. Oh, you're all wonderful. I agree. JRP, trust me, I agree. I think I'm being very overly optimistic because Bibi does not adhere to the conventional reason of anyone. Or even like tactical, like conventional war tactics. He's just very selfish, in my opinion, and is only out to protect himself. And so if he has to bomb Lebanon until Hezbollah and Iran have no choice but to respond, I think he will. Not because it's the right thing to do for the people of Israel, but because Bibi will see that as the only way to save himself, and that's what worries me. It was so good to see so many of you, though. All right, now let's do our outro with Pete Bunny Towel here. All right. If you learned something today, if you enjoyed the camaraderie in chat, Nightbot did have a rough night. The poor guy. He's a good Nightbot. He's a good guy. If you benefited from this stream, or if you want to pay it forward, if you want to help Little Towel take his mind off the fact that he has dental surgery on Wednesday and he's really nervous about it, we can make Towel feel better by doing a few things. One, have you considered donating to our homeless veterans or our service members or their families? There should not be a single veteran homeless in the United States of America, I can't speak for other countries, against their will. If they want to go live in the woods, we're not going to stop. They got survival skills. You know, maybe I've heard examples where people like to do that. But if one veteran who served this country and defended our freedoms and gave us the freedoms that every day I think a lot of us take for granted, but some of us try to cherish, is homeless against their will, we failed. We failed as a country. We failed as a society, as a community. It just should be completely unacceptable. And so you can donate to help our homeless veterans today. Now, what if you like our furry friends? Everybody likes animals. I love animals. They're wonderful. Pete Bunny Towel's not an animal, but he is fluffy, and he's a wonderful fur friend. You may consider donating to animal shelters run by our service members or veterans, or that help our service members or veterans. Great way to help our fur friends, and great way to help our veterans and service members. But if you can't find one of those charities, animal shelters run by vets, or that helps our service members or vets, you may consider a donation to animal shelters in general. It's a great way to help our fur friends. And if you're in the UK, you may consider a donation to the Big Issue. It's a great way to help populations experiencing homelessness in the UK. It doesn't have to be a donation, though. It can be something as small as smiling at someone on the street, reaching out to a friend or family member you haven't heard from in a while, or yes, even giving away 200 tomato plants like Francis Futrell did one time and having them designated as honorary towels during the outro forevermore. In that way, may we continue to change the current realpolitik from one centered on preserving, expanding, and demonstrating our power into one centered on preserving, expanding, and demonstrating our capacity to engage in small acts of service rooted in unconditional love. Therein living up to our Tal Eudaimonia or Summum Bonum, our greatest good in the ancient Greek or Latin respectively, and in turn bringing about a new digital epoch defined by Aquarius the water bearer standing tall and carrying a Pete Bunny towel. Even in my very tired towel state, I believe it's possible because of you all. As I drown in pollen and struggle to breathe, there is so much pollen in the air. I'm off to bed. May God protect the United States of America. May God protect our troops. May God protect you all. May God protect Pete Bunny Towel. He needs protection too. And, most importantly, may God protect the entire world. I think we all need it right now. Signing off from Boston with my love to all of you. Water Under the Fridge, Soul Controller, Tiffany Bob, Nightbot, D Mayor, G Reaper, every single one of you who was hanging out today. Thank you so much for being you. Thank you for Diane, God bless you, and Kara. All of you who were hanging out. I saw Triplet Bob was here earlier. JRP was here. You're wonderful. Marcia, my dear friend. It was so great to spend time with you. Blessed Texas Lolly was here. I'm so glad I got to see you by scrolling up. Lame Matrix. Hello, my friend. Mercury Star. It was great to see you. The chat doesn't go back all the way, but it does let me scroll up and say hello. Docs Watson, it was great to see you. How have you all been? I'm so sorry I didn't get to catch up with you as I was going through all the updates, each one of you, but I'm so glad I got to scroll up. Ifti Ahmad, dear brother, it was great to see you as well. All right, friends, good night, be well, signing off from Boston with a toothache that gets worse by the day. Thankfully, I'm only 2 days away from surgery. We're going to do this. Hashtag help towel. We're going to get through it. Your positive energy gets me through. Mimi, your energy gets me through every day too, my dear friend. God bless. Be well. Good night. Towel loves you all very much. Thanks for watching with me. Thank you for inviting me into your home or wherever you may be tonight. From me to you, thank you for being you. Thank you for being with me. God bless you. Good night.